Chapter 46. Soon, it was time for the mid-term exam results to come out. This morning, Xiao Xiao felt as though he was waiting for his first love. He was somewhat expectant and somewhat worried. This was his first exam after learning spirit arts, so the results were very important to him. He wanted to know what heights his hard work would reach during this period of time. The moment he entered the class, everyone was enthusiastically discussing and looking forward to the results. The results will be out soon. I saw that the teacher has already sorted out the papers and is walking over here. Ma Xiaoxian rushed into the classroom and announced loudly. This little loudspeaker always liked to eavesdrop on the teachers. Heavens, the results are coming out. I don't want to live anymore. Someone was already wailing. Are you sure your results aren't good? Of course not. I didn't even answer 2 of the major questions. This exam is too difficult. Me too. You aren't fighting alone. The difficulty of this exam has surpassed the hardest midterm exam in Nanchuan's history. At this time, no one would ask how Xiao Xiao did. They already knew that this handsome school hunk's results were indescribable. It was also at this time that the school hunk's image in their hearts took a nosedive. On the other hand, Xiao Xiao was very calm this time. The little black bun on top of her head was round and round. She looked left and right and looked down at everyone with a look of disdain. Xiao Xiao didn't say anything. He lazily leaned back in his chair and swayed back and forth. He looked at everyone in the classroom and waited for the teacher's final judgment. As the steady footsteps approached the podium, Teacher Zhu walked in with a large pile of papers in his arms. He had a smile on his face. AI, look at old Zhu's happy face. It seems that our class did well this time. Old Zhu usually has this expression. There's no smile on his face. You're just comforting yourself. Soon, Miss Zhu looked at everyone with a smile like a spring breeze. Students, in this exam, our class's average score went up by 2 percentage points. We took back the first place in our grade. Wow, this sentence made the students boil. It seems that we did well. Quiet, quiet. However, the most important contribution this time is that student Yanran still maintained the first place in the grade. Wow, that's great. Yanran has always been great. Of course. Those who have won international awards are definitely top students. There's also a student named Xiao Xiao. He rose from the bottom to the top 100. Our class's average score was actually raised by him alone. Puff. Everyone was taken aback. Wow, Brother Xiao is amazing. This counterattack was simply heavenly. From the last place in the class to the top 100 of the year, this was simply too cool. Everyone looked at Xiao Xiao with admiration. Xiao Xiao rubbed his nose. It was similar to what he had expected, but he thought it would be better. However, the little tadpoles in their minds were somewhat unconvinced. They were messing around in every room. In their eyes, being in the top 100 of their grade was a disgrace. To them, the #1 spirit spellmaster in the world must be ours. Next, let's invite Xiao Xiao to come up on stage to share his learning experience. Puff, Xiao Xiao did not expect this move. What could he say? Could it be that he used a cheat? He rubbed his nose and stood up. His tall and handsome back was very straight. He walked up to the podium lazily with moderate steps. First, he used his 10 fingers to give a military salute to everyone. Sorry, I used a little more strength this time. Everyone below burst into laughter. Xiao Xiao saw the little purple bun on Yanran's head and laughed as he rolled on top of Yanran's head. Speaking of exam experience, there's only one thing. Listen carefully in class and visit the bookstore more after class. I did well this time. It's all thanks to the teacher who found me the best private tutor, student Yanran. The class laughed again. After speaking, Xiao Xiao returned to his seat with a smile. He poked Yanran in front of him. Teacher Yanran, are you satisfied with the results this time? It's all right. It seems like it's still a little lacking. With your standard, if you don't get second place in the grade, you'll be letting me down. Xiao Xiao gritted his teeth. This Bingshan Yen did not know how to praise him. Have you read the book I gave you? I've read it. I've already memorized everything. This book is too good. I've already started to follow the book and slowly learn programming. Good. Programming is actually quite difficult. However, I believe that your brain is enough. Yanran looked at Xiao Xiao and winked at him. Xiao Xiao's heart rippled from this wink. His heart was filled with strength. He would definitely not disappoint Yanran. As soon as he returned home, he found Uncle Wu. Uncle Wu, I want to learn programming now. Can you help me find a teacher? This was the first time he heard Xiao Xiao make such a request. Uncle Wu simply cried. The child had finally grown up. Okay. Young master, I'll definitely help you find the best teacher. In the following period of time, Xiao Xiao, other than going to school, spent his time in the library and bookstore. He crazily absorbed all the knowledge he could find in this world. The little tadpoles were very excited. Every day, they ate until they were full and their stomachs were round. Then they began to rapidly grow, expanding Xiao Xiao's brain cells. And the more books Xiao Xiao read, the more he found that his knowledge was shallow. Before, he only cared about playing and did not understand the rules of this society. But now, he could even understand the philosophy of governing a country. As the crown prince of the demon realm, no matter how much influence he had, he still had some experience in governing a country. In the past, when he followed his father and those ministers, he had also heard about the suffering of the common people and the principles of governing a country. However, he did not fully understand them. And now, the governing of a country in the human world aroused his great interest. Although the systematic theory books were obscure and difficult to understand, after the little tadpoles in his brain processed them, he understood them with a little bit. Xiao Xiao was extremely busy now. He did not have enough time every day. Programming, learning how to govern a country, absorbing all kinds of knowledge, even including makeup, dressing up, walking, talking, street dancing, singing, writing lyrics and composing music. He was growing rapidly in all aspects. The game had long been thrown aside by him. His goal was no longer to be first in the grade, or second in the grade. His goal had long been to see the peak of the human world. The reputation of the school hunk became even more popular in school. Gradually, he changed from relying on his face to relying on his talent and strength. With each exam, Xiao Xiao became more and more powerful. He faintly had the momentum to catch up with Yanran. By the end of the first year of high school, he was already firmly in the top 50 of the grade. The school hunk deserved his name. He was good-looking, talented, and talented. In Nanchuan High School, he had become a godlike existence. Brother Qiao, where are you going to play during the summer vacation? Today was the last day of school. Soon, they would usher in the long-awaited summer vacation. The young and restless hearts could never resist the attraction of the world to them. I haven't decided yet. Let's study. Wow, Brother Qiao, don't work too hard now. You are already in the top 50 of the grade. Can't you leave us a way out? How can I succeed if I don't work hard? How about we go read books together during the summer vacation? Brother Qiao, you have changed. You used to take us to play games together. Ma Xiaoxian felt wronged. I told you a long time ago. Studying is much more fun than playing games. Xiao Xiao really thought so. I don't understand the world of a top student. Brother Qiao, I will definitely be there when you are forming a group. Okay, I'll call you in the group. I'll be leaving first. Xiao Xiao saw that Yanran had already walked out of the classroom with her bag. He chased after her in a few steps. Yanran, where are you going during the summer vacation? I'm going to carry out a mission. Xiao Xiao's face fell. Then I won't be able to see you for a long time? Yanran looked at Xiao Xiao's endless listlessness and couldn't help but smile. Yes. Then remember to pick up my calls and reply to my WeChat, okay? I'm going to participate in a competition during the summer vacation. I remember Uncle Wu said that you also have several competitions to participate in, right? Yes, Uncle Wu helped me sign up for a programming competition and some other random competitions. Then you're also very busy. Good luck, I'll wait for your good results. After saying that, Yanran waved her hand and left Xiao Xiao with her back to him. Xiao Xiao didn't show any expression, but the little black bun on top of his head reached out a hand, wanting to pull Yanran back. The desire in his heart was obvious. Xiao Xiao suddenly waved his hand, grabbed his hair, threw his bag over his shoulder, and continued his daily mission, heading towards the bookstore. He was indeed very busy. This summer vacation he had an important competition. It was a national programming competition. This was also the first time he would be able to test the results of his studies. He had read a lot of theoretical books. The teacher that Uncle Wu hired for him was also very good, teaching him a lot of practical things. He could also write some small programs, but it seemed that he had reached a bottleneck and couldn't break through. Whenever he encountered a large-scale game, he would start to feel a little confused. He was like a little ant looking for its home. There were a dozen paths, but he just couldn't find the right one. However, that was because he had high expectations for himself. It was impossible for him to complete a large-scale game alone. This was also the most frustrating part for the little tadpoles in his brain. There seemed to be a few channels in his brain that were blocked, and the tadpoles couldn't reach the room. So now Xiao Xiao could only store the books in his brain, but the interconnection was still not complete. This time he was participating in a national programming competition for young people, commonly known as the Information Science Olympiad. It was organized by the National Computer Society. Although the Information Science Olympiad wasn't organized by the government, its social status wasn't any lower than other competitions. There was a saying in the programming world that this was the most successful competition in the country, recognized by all levels of schools. In many people's eyes, although information science was a personal activity, it had always been tightly organized and there was no possibility of cheating. It had already been recognized by the whole society. There were even experts who said that the Information Science Olympiad was very valuable, even more so than the National Youth Technology Innovation Competition. This was the first competition that Uncle Wu and his programming teacher had carefully selected for him. Chapter 47. The programming competition was held in Xining City. Originally, Uncle Wu wanted to go with him. After the last winter vacation, he was worried that something would happen to him and Lu Hui when they went on vacation. However, Xiao Xiao said that he could go by himself when he grew up. The teacher would also go with him. He told Uncle Wu to rest at home. Uncle Wu looked at Xiao Xiao with gratification. His heart surged with the feeling of having a child who had just grown up. He repeatedly told him to send a message every day to let him know that he was safe and to call him often. Uncle Wu sent Xiao Xiao and the teacher to the plane. The plane flew into the sky and away from his worries. This annual Information Science Olympiad attracted the best programming talents from all over the country. Xiao Xiao's hotel was right next to the competition venue. Fortunately, he booked it early. Otherwise, it would have been sold out. According to the hotel's front desk, all the hotels within a 5-kilometer radius were fully booked. Today, when he checked in, he saw a few people return angrily. It seemed that this competition was indeed, as the teacher said, attracting the attention of technology enthusiasts all over the country. Xiao Xiao had countless birds singing in his heart. He liked this kind of occasion. The competition made his blood boil. The official competition was 3 days later. The teacher asked him to come a few days earlier. First, to adapt to the environment. Second, there was a robot exhibition here. The teacher hoped that Xiao Xiao could go and take a look. When Xiao Xiao arrived, it was already night time. After checking into the hotel, he didn't speak for the whole night. The next day, he woke up early. The robot exhibition was said to be a very attractive technology exhibition in China. It attracted all kinds of high-tech companies and talents. It was said that the top domestic giants would also launch their new products. Xiao Xiao and the teacher took a taxi to the exhibition venue early in the morning. The teacher's surname was He. He was a famous computer science professor at Nanchuan University. When Uncle Wu found him, he was very surprised. Being a private tutor for a high school student had been his job for many years. He didn't expect that Uncle Wu would bring him a work made by Xiao Xiao. It was a bit like an airplane battle, but more flexible and creative. It added a lot of changes in the air. It was 100 times better than the original classic airplane battle. Professor He's interest was instantly piqued. He could see Qiao Zhao's talent from her performance. He didn't even need Uncle Wu to say anything else before he decided to accept her as his student. In the past few months of teaching Qiao Xiao, although it wasn't a long time, he realized that Qiao Zhao's learning ability was too terrifying. He could finish reading a thick programming book in 1 to 2 nights, and he could explain it clearly and logically. Some things that he didn't understand could be completely understood with just a little guidance. He was simply a genius. He even felt that Qiao Xiao would soon surpass him. The more he looked at this handsome young man, the more he liked him. He could already imagine the rising star of the Hua Xia Empire. Typically speaking, it would take at least 4 to 5 years to study programming before one could participate in a national competition like this. However, Professor He had confidence in Qiao Xiao. He had only needed 3 months to convince him to come. They arrived at the entrance of the exhibition hall. It was a national exhibition center in Xining City. The hall was divided into 3 levels. In the wide square in front of the entrance, balloons, banners, and all kinds of large electronic screens flashed continuously. There was an endless stream of technology enthusiasts taking photos at the signage area. There were also many reporters present. Beautiful and handsome men carrying cameras could be seen interviewing passers-by. As soon as Qiao Xiao and the teacher appeared, several reporters recognized them immediately. They didn't recognize Qiao Xiao, but recognized Professor He. Soon after, a group of people rushed over to Professor He. Qiao Xiao finally realized that Professor He was one of the leading figures in the Hua Xia Empire's computing field. As the reporters interviewed Qiao Xiao gradually stepped back to allow all the cameras to be on Professor He. However, as a natural light source, he couldn't escape being tracked by the cameras. Countless cameras were aimed at him. They were originally just street shots, but after hearing Professor He's introduction, all the microphones were put in front of him. "Handsome man, we heard that you're Professor He's proud student. May we ask if you will be participating in the Olympiad in a few days?" Qiao Xiao wasn't nervous in front of the cameras at all. He put on his most charming smile and said to the beautiful and handsome reporters, "Thank you, Professor He, for giving me this opportunity. I'll be sure to participate in the Olympiad in 3 days. I'll try my best not to embarrass him and bring home an award." "Wow, you're so confident. May we ask how long you've been studying with Professor He?" 3 months, I think. He's already so confident after only 3 months. "Professor He, this student of yours is not a simple character. He, don't underestimate him. 3 months for him is equivalent to 3 years for others. This is his first time participating in a competition. Please take good care of him." With Professor He's support, Qiao Xiao instantly made the headlines. Because the robot exhibition was being streamed live online, the reporters' interviews were also broadcasted in real time. Unexpectedly, it caused a sensation and immediately made it to the top 10 headlines on Weibo. Professor He's last student is both good-looking and capable. Qiao Zhao's looks were comparable to an idol's, his body was comparable to a celebrity's, and his talent was supported by Professor He. His popularity instantly skyrocketed online. Peach tea. Wow, what kind of godlike looks is this? Is he a new celebrity? Shocked to the core. Why not join the entertainment industry? Why must you join the robotics industry? Flying in June. Are you looking down on the entertainment industry? King of territorial domination. We strongly urge our little brother to join the entertainment industry. We'll make sure you become a top celebrity. Waiting to become a Buddha. We'll witness your capabilities in 3 days. Of course, there were also plenty of haters online. Senior Ape. Look at your face, don't embarrass the IT industry. Big Frog at the bottom of the pit. If you don't get an award in 3 days, get out of the robotics industry. Money everywhere. Our robotics industry is pure beyond compare. We don't need these shady deals for looks. Message in a bottle. Come back and fight me in 3 days if you dare. Chow Xiao and Professor He were still browsing the exhibition hall when he received a call from Zhang Deong. Brother Chow, you're 2F** King Awesome. You're in the headlines on Weibo. I thought you were in the headlines on your school's Cheba, but this time you're in the headlines on Weibo. I'm going to kneel down to you. When did you cheat? You actually went to participate in the robot competition. That's something that only people with high IQ can participate in. As soon as he picked up the phone, he heard Zhang Deong talking non-stop. Are you saying that your brother Chow's IQ isn't high enough? Chow Xiao moved the phone away from his ear. Zhang Deong's voice was so loud that it hurt his ears. No, Brother Chow, that's not what I meant. I'm cheering you on behalf of the whole class. Come back with an award in 3 days. Okay, just you wait. Chow Xiao couldn't help but smile. I'll be waiting for you to speak under the national flag. Zhang Deong's excitement could be heard over the phone. Chow Xiao scolded him with a smile. He saw that there were a few missed calls. They were all from people who cared about him when he was on the phone with Zhang Deong. But Chow Xiao looked carefully and didn't see a certain someone's number. Forget it, he was used to it. He knew she was busy. And the commotion on Weibo couldn't be hidden. At this time, Hua Gang, who was in Xining City, also saw this Weibo post. At that time, he was leaning back in his chair. When he saw the familiar face, he immediately stood up as if he had been pricked by a needle. He looked at every word in the news report seriously and watched the interview video 10 times. It was really unbelievable. This boy was the one who accompanied Yen Ran to dinner last time. He couldn't be wrong. That roguish smile and provocative eyes had been engraved in his heart. During this period of time, when Yen Ran was on a mission, she purposely separated the two of them. Hua Gang knew that Yen Ran was purposely avoiding him. Why? Was it because of this boy? These 2 days, Yen Ran was on a mission somewhere else, and he simply asked for leave to participate in the competition. Looking at Chow Zhao's astonishingly handsome smiling face, he gritted his teeth so hard that they shattered. He was also there to participate in the Information Science Olympiad. He was about to start his senior year of high school and had been studying programming since junior high. He thought he had some talent in it. He knew Professor He was very famous in the Huaxiar Empire. He had once wanted to be his student, but Professor He had refused to let his family in. F***ck, how did this Chow Xiao trick Professor He into accepting him as his last student? An indescribable emotion rose in his heart and accelerated the differentiation of a drop of blood in his blood. This drop of blood began to grow on its own and slowly corroded his original blood. Ever since this drop of blood was awakened, it had begun to swim through his body. Now that it had cleared all the meridians in his body and familiarized itself with his body, it began to slowly grow and consume his original blood. Hua Gang looked at Chow Zhao's smiling face and typed a line under his Weibo, "If you are not convinced, come back in 3 days." Chow Xiao, I brought you to the robot exhibition in the hope that you would be able to learn something from it. Computer programming is actually for the purpose of implementing certain application functions for the benefit of mankind. Some people also say that robots were invented to make humans lazier. However, it's undeniable that during this process of evolution, human technology continued to advance and life became more convenient. The small programs you normally create are all very useful, but they are mainly for gaming. I hope you'll be able to see more changes computer programming can bring to mankind beyond gaming. Professor He was in the middle of earnestly teaching Chow Xiao when a burst of passionate music suddenly began to play beside them. An extremely large robot appeared on their left and walked towards them on the wide avenue in the middle of the exhibition hall. Wow, Professor, look at this robot. It's so big. This was practically a pillar supporting the heavens. It was a full 8 meters tall. Chow Xiao and the professor only reached its calves. The robot greeted the people beside it as it walked and repeatedly introduced itself. Hello everyone, I'm Tai Shan. Many people around them also greeted him happily. Then Tai Shan continued to ask questions and answer to the people beside him. Chow Xiao thought this was amazing. He walked up to Tai Shan and said, "Can I shake your hand?" Tai Shan replied kindly, "Of course." Then he used his large hands to lift Xiao Xiao up by the waist. Then Xiao Xiao's feet left the ground. Tai Shan raised him until they were eye level. "Hello, how are you? You're so handsome." Xiao Xiao jumped in fright and almost danced for joy. However, when he met Tai Shan's eyes at eye level, he couldn't help smiling. Although it was a robot face, it could make all sorts of expressions. At that moment, Tai Shan's lips were wide open and extended all the way to his ears. It was obvious he was smiling. Chapter 48. Xiao Xiao was put down. He felt that Tai Shan was very interesting. He continued to ask, "Tai Shan, can you dance?" Tai Shan bent down, folded his arms and asked him, "What kind of dance do you want to do?" Xiao Xiao thought for a while and said, "You can dance with me." Tai Shan nodded and said, "Okay, let's go." Then, a piece of explosive hip-hop music came out of his body. Xiao Xiao and Tai Shan were in the hall, swaying to the music. Tai Shan was very smart. He danced as Xiao Xiao danced. He was very good at imitating. Xiao Xiao deliberately did a few difficult head-to-head moves. He didn't expect Tai Shan to be so good. He turned Tai Shan's body upside down with his head on the ground, making a loud noise. The crowd was shocked. Xiao Xiao stopped and made a gesture of thanks. Tai Shan also stopped and bowed to Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao was very happy. He didn't expect this big guy to be so compatible with him. "Tai Shan, you are so good. Wonderful dance." Xiao Xiao patted Tai Shan's thigh and praised him generously. The people around them applauded. One of them walked out of the crowd and said to Xiao Xiao, "Your dance is so good. Do you like my Tai Shan?" Xiao Xiao looked at the man. He was about 50 years old. He was a little bald and his eyes were bright. Xiao Xiao was surprised and asked, "Did you create this robot?" "Yes, it's my masterpiece for many years." "Do you like it?" "It's so cool." "How did you do it?" Xiao Xiao was excited as if he had met a confidant. The middle-aged man looked at Xiao Xiao and knew that he was a kindred spirit. He said, "You have good eyesight. Ordinary people can't find these functions of Tai Shan. I didn't expect you to activate his potential so quickly. Can you tell me how you found out that he can dance?" "Just now, when he carried me up, I looked into his eyes. His expression was rich, just like a real human's. Furthermore, there were pulleys where his various organs were connected. I guess that he must know some kind of special movement. I let him dance by accident." "Young man, you're very observant." The middle-aged man nodded in appreciation. "Professor Wang, you couldn't stand the loneliness and brought your Tarzan out to play?" Professor He walked up to them. "Yo, old He, how come you're in the mood to come and play?" Xiao Xiao took a look. "Oh, so these two know each other." He immediately said to Professor Wang, "Professor Wang, it turns out that you and my teacher have known each other for a long time. We're all here to participate in the competition. It's my honor to have the opportunity to admire your robot." "Oh, this is your last disciple mentioned on Weibo?" "Yes, it's not easy to have such an outstanding child. I'm very gratified. I'm so envious of you. My last disciple is my Tarzan. Come, Xiao Xiao, let me introduce you. This is Professor Wang, who's very famous in the field of science and technology. He's the head of scientific research at XX University." Xiao Xiao immediately reached out and shook Professor Wang's hands. He gave a 90-degree bow. "I've heard so much about you, Professor Wang. It's my honor to meet you today. Your disciple is smart, has a sweet tongue, and can dance. He's also your last disciple. His future is limitless." "Ha ha ha ha, he's all right." Professor He patted Xiao Xiao proudly. "Are you still a judge for the competition in 3 days?" Professor He continued to ask. "Ah, I can't turn down this competition every year. I look forward to your last disciple's outstanding performance. Professor Wang, I have a small suggestion. It's about Tarzan." Xiao Xiao saw that they were almost done chatting, so he interjected. "Oh, I'm very happy that someone can give me suggestions for improvement. When Tarzan was performing the last dance move just now, all his weight was on his head. All of his weight was concentrated on the top of his head. From the perspective of dancing, it affected the beauty of the dance and could easily be broken. I once designed a game where when the character flips, all his weight and all his blood is transferred to his feet. This makes his entire body lighter when he flips. I don't know if I can use this on Tarzan. That's a good idea, young man. Can you send me your code to take a look? Of course. Just like that, Xiao Xiao successfully joined Professor Wong's circle of friends. Xiao Xiao and Tarzan's dance was also recorded by the audience and posted online. The organizers of the exhibition saw a ready-made promotional video and posted it on their official website. On one side was Invincible's street dance performance. On the other side was an adorable robot uncle. This was an imitation show by the robot uncle, but the imitation was very accurate. It was amazing. Then someone posted an analysis post online, breaking down Xiao Xiao's dance into a professional explanation. At the same time, it introduced the design principles of the robot and its creator. It also analyzed the difficulty of programming this type of robot. Then it caused a sensation online. It was indeed the leading figure in the Chinese computing field. Professor Wong had invented the newest AI robot that could rapidly imitate human movements and easily communicate with humans without any barriers. The phone line for the order was instantly blown up. The technology exhibition was only a small interlude. The real highlight was the upcoming Information Science Olympiad. The grand opening ceremony of Golden Age attracted everyone's attention. Xiao Xiao and his professor arrived early. There were several humanoid robot dolls at the entrance of the venue taking photos with the audience. To their surprise, there was already a long line at the entrance. Luckily, Professor He was a distinguished VIP. He took Xiao Xiao through the VIP passage. Due to Xiao Xiao's participation this year, Professor He, who had always been a judge, declined the invitation this year. However, Professor He's seat was still in the first 2 rows. As a participant, Xiao Xiao had his own seat. After parting ways with Professor He, Xiao Xiao took his seat in the contestants' area. This time, they were playing in a stadium surrounded by a ring of spectator stands. The real competition venue was on the flat ground in the middle. The area in the middle was almost the size of a football field. There were several stages set up there, the most important being the rostrum. A long trophy was placed horizontally on the rostrum. It sparkled with gold and gave the audience a sense of honor. At that moment, the large screen on the wall behind the rostrum continuously played highlights from the Information Science Olympiads from previous years. The passionate music in the venue livened up the atmosphere. Xiao Xiao quickly blended in. He sat excitedly on a chair in the stands with his legs stretched out. His fingers tapped on the beat continuously. His head seemed to sway bit by bit with the rhythm. The little black bun on his head couldn't help but dance. There was a row of judges' seats on the side. The empty space in the middle should be where the contestants were competing. It was still an empty space. During the actual competition, there should be corresponding equipment. There was a small space on the right that was blocked off. There were 2 robots standing on it and pacing back and forth. More and more people gathered in the audience. Several contestants had arrived around Xiao Xiao. They greeted Xiao Xiao enthusiastically when they saw him. "You're the one dancing with the robots, right? So cool. I like it so much. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kong Ming. I'm also here for the competition." A young man with bushy eyebrows and big eyes took the initiative to greet Xiao Xiao. "Hello, I'm Xiao Xiao. You're so handsome. There are a lot of people online calling for you to join the entertainment industry." "That's just a joke. You can't take it seriously. This is my first time participating in this competition. I didn't expect the scale to be so big. I'm so excited." Kong Ming looked like a big boy who couldn't keep his thoughts to himself. However, Xiao Xiao liked it. This kind of straightforward boy was to his liking. What Xiao Xiao didn't notice was that there was a person sitting 2 rows behind him. He was wearing a baseball cap. At this time, His eyes were like poison. He was staring at the back of Qiao Zhao's head. This person was Hua Gang. Hua Gang was carefully observing Qiao Zhao's every move. He found that the demonic aura above Qiao Zhao's head was thick and dense. He didn't believe Yanron's words. This was clearly a person who was haunted by demons. How could he be a cultivator like them? Yanran had been deceived. Maybe he hadn't shown it yet, but in the future, he would definitely be an evil person. Hua Gang didn't notice that his originally kind heart would inadvertently have some evil thoughts at this time. And once these thoughts were born, they were hard to extinguish. Soon, the opening ceremony began. It was different from the usual opening ceremonies. The first to enter was actually a row of robots. A group of tall and mighty robots gathered in the center from the four corners of the arena. They stepped on the drums of the music. Every step was sonorous and neat. The audience at the scene was boiling. They all stood up and waved to the group of robots below with the dynamic music. Soon, they gathered in the center of the arena. They formed a square formation and began to dance quickly. Robot dance steps. Every movement stepped on the drums. The program was good. It saved the coordination of manual rehearsals. All the robots were executing the same program, so there was no deviation at all. Although the dance steps weren't complicated, the rhythm was very strong. The combination of the music and program was also automatically controlled by the computer. Not only were the big drum beats accurate, even the small beats were accurate. At the same time, because of the characteristics of the robots, every movement was sonorous and powerful. They weren't like the softness of a human body. They were completely a manifestation of a kind of steel strength. Instead, the audience at the scene felt the kind of cold and hard beauty that could only be seen in sci-fi movies. With a standard swing, the whole team was fixed in place. The scene was filled with excited cheers. At this time, Qiao Xiao and Kong Ming both began to dance with the movements of the robots. Kong Ming obviously didn't know how to dance, but he wasn't shy at all. He fully demonstrated the twisting of his body. Qiao Xiao looked at him and laughed loudly. Qiao Zhao's casual movements attracted the eyes of the people around him. He could hear some girls around him blushing and whispering, "The person dancing in front is so handsome." Chapter 49. Originally, they thought that after the robot dance, there would be a speech on the stage. However, they didn't expect that the next round would be a row of racing cars. The roar of motors could be heard, and the audience all looked towards the direction of the sound. Cool mini racing cars drove up one after another from the four corners. The racing cars were sometimes fast and sometimes slow, sometimes left and sometimes right, as if they were teenagers who wanted to meet them. These racing cars had strange shapes and were fully functional. They had their own attack capabilities, and they would extend an arm from their body as if they were shooting something into the distance. At this time, the host's voice sounded. This was a newly developed robot racing car that won the first prize in the International Robot Competition. It was currently used in some special vehicles in the country. This car was designed to have a shooting range of nearly 150 meters. Wow, this is really high-tech. I didn't expect an ordinary toy racing car to be transformed into a super-armored car, Kong Ming shouted excitedly. Then, the familiar entrance music sounded, and the host invited the leaders on the stage to take their seats. The national flag was raised, the national anthem was sung, and the president of the Computer Science Association gave a speech. His speech was very powerful. Most importantly, he hoped that the teenagers could unleash their potential and create more artificial intelligence products to be used in various fields of the country. After the speech, the host introduced the guests, judges, and the basic competition rules. Soon, the long-awaited competition would officially begin. Qiao Xiao, Kong Ming, and the other contestants came to the registration area. Coincidentally, they were in the same group. Qiao Xiao looked at the competition list. There were a total of 12 people in their group. He looked around. Among the 12 people, there were 2 girls, and the rest were boys. It seemed that most of the people who liked programming were boys. The 12 people were quite friendly. They didn't fight with each other because they were about to become opponents. However, they were sizing each other up, evaluating each other, and their hearts were surging. Xiao Xiao was quite famous because he was on Weibo. Basically, all 11 people knew him, and he responded enthusiastically. Soon, he had 11 more friends in his circle of friends. The venue had been cleared, and the entire space was empty. For the competition, several areas were set up to show the contestants a few stages. Every year, more and more people would sign up for the Information Science Olympiad. Many of the elites had already been eliminated through the preliminary and semi-finals. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, had directly advanced to the finals with his aircraft competition program. Xiao Xiao estimated that there were a total of 8 groups of contestants, nearly 100 people. All of the contestants' eyes were filled with the desire to compete. The fact that they were able to make it to the finals was already proof of their excellence. Heroes vying for supremacy, all for the final crown. At this time, the live broadcast had been opened on Weibo. Looking at the players waiting for the stage, the comment section was full of expectations. Although it was not as popular as the stars in the entertainment circle, nearly 200,000 people in the IT circle had gathered in a short time. On the official website of the competition, the resumes of the finalists and their previous works were posted on the homepage for the netizens to carefully evaluate. I heard that this competition is not only scored by the live judges, but also by the public and online judges. It's so exciting. Kong Ming was so nervous that he was incoherent. Xiao Xiao had not studied so much. The little tadpoles in his mind were still chatting with each other and preparing for the competition. However, there was still a vast expanse of white in his mind. The little tadpoles passed by as if they did not see anything. In this layer of white fog, there was a sleeping tadpole. At this time, it turned over and continued to sleep. In the center of the venue, the equipment needed for the competition was placed on each plate. The seats were very high-end, the leather was shiny, and the softness was moderate. The computers on the table were all brand new, and each contestant had a special headset. Xiao Xiao sat in his contestant seat, put on his headset, and struck a handsome pose with the cameraman. He was ready to start the competition. The first round of the competition was 2-on-1 PK. The loser would be directly eliminated. The opponents for the 2-on-2 PK would be selected by drawing lots. The screen was divided into 8 sections, and the information began to scroll quickly. Xiao Xiao saw that his name matched with another contestant named Wang Chong. Then the screen began to play their profiles. Number 3 Xiao Xiao, first year of high school, 3 months of schooling. Specializes in game programming. Previous entry: Airplane Wars. Number 8 Wang Chong, second year of high school, 8 years of schooling. Specializes in game programming. Previous entry: Puzzle games. The venue was in an uproar. In addition to the audience, even the netizens on Weibo were shocked by this pair of contestants with the biggest gap in talent in history. It's so hard to name. This is not a joke, right? He's only a first year of high school, and he's only been studying for 3 months. He's already qualified for the finals? Little sweetie, there must be something shady about the organizing committee this time. Did he pull some strings to get in? Someone dug up Xiao Zhao's video from before and instantly realized that he was Professor He's last student. I hate shady deals. Could Professor He also approve of such underhanded methods? Compass to the north. Airplane Wars. That's too funny. Even a smart elementary school student can make it up. How can he participate in the competition? Sugar for life. Shady deals +1. Xiao Xiao and Wang Chong were unaware of these comments. At that moment, an interface popped up on their respective computers. Please type your battle declaration. And this? Xiao Xiao leaned back lazily and typed, I'm the champion. Arrogant and confident aura filled the screen. At that moment, Wang Chong's declaration exploded on the big screen in huge font. Haven't your hair grown out yet? Go home and drink some milk. Pfft. Xiao Xiao rubbed his nose and remembered Wang Chong's WeChat profile picture. It was a cherry ball. He didn't expect a cherry ball to be so domineering. She really did have some milk. The audience laughed loudly, and Weibo was also filled with laughter. God lives in my house. That's right, that's right. Go home and drink some milk. Mu Xianfeng, the smell of gunpowder between the two of them is so strong. This Xiao Xiao is really overestimating himself. He actually said such arrogant words. Let's see how ugly his death will be later. Stay up until morning. If the champion looked like Xiao Xiao, it would be quite eye-catching. Plaid shirt, you're a love-struck fool, right? The IT industry doesn't need love-struck fools. We look at strength. You'd better go back to the entertainment industry. After all the teams finished displaying their declarations, the competition officially began. The first competition was to make up naked birds on the spot within a set time to see who could write the most levels. The time limit was 3 hours, and the game had to be played smoothly. It looked simple, but many audience members fell to their knees. The naked birds that had once been popular all over the world had been developed by a team over a long time. If they had to write it in 3 hours, wouldn't they have to memorize the original program directly? They would also have to compete with their hand speed. Wang Chong looked at the competition question and felt relieved. He was best at puzzle games, and he had focused on studying the naked birds. He looked at the material given to him and began to type on the keyboard at a flying speed. At this time, a large screen was erected next to each of the 8 venues. It was divided into 4 areas for the PK team. Each area was directly connected to the contestant's computer, and the program written on the computer would be shared on the big screen in real time. At this time, Wang Chong had already begun to type the code quickly, while Xiao Xiao was still there in a daze. Xiao Xiao was in a dilemma. He was conflicted whether to copy the original program as it was or make some changes himself. If he directly copied the original program, would it be suspected of plagiarism? In the eyes of the netizens, his hesitation became frowny face brick moving cola. Haha, Xiao Xiao really can't do it. He still can't type a line of code. The other contestants on the big screen have already started. It's better to go home and drink milk. Laughing my teeth off. Such a contestant still wants to win the championship. That's only the first round. At least he can write the first round. I really doubt the fairness of the competition. A netizen couldn't help but scold, every competition has a shady background. I originally thought that the IT industry would be cleaner, but I didn't expect it to be like this. What happened? Look at how agitated you are. It's the Information Science Olympiad that Hua Gang participated in. In the end, there was a brat in high school who only learned programming for 3 months. I don't know how he got into the finals. Now he's exposed. Yenran, who was pouring water next to him, paused and asked, "Who are you talking about?" Looking at the introduction, it's Nan Chuan. Yenran is from the same city as you. Yenran walked over and glanced at his phone. Send it to me. While Xiao Xiao was thinking, the little tadpoles in his brain were not convinced. Copying the original program would be an insult to our intelligence. We can easily deal with the big one. Xiao Xiao looked at the little tadpoles who were full of confidence. He no longer hesitated and began to quickly scroll through the screen. The audience saw Xiao Xiao's interface on the big screen suddenly scrolling. With the speed of human eyes, it was impossible to keep up with the scrolling of the screen. The initial mocking and questioning gradually stopped, leaving only dumbfounded expressions. The stadium, which was originally like a duck pond, instantly quieted down. The audience, who were still talking with their heads lowered, were also affected by the strange atmosphere. It was as if someone suddenly said, "Quiet, quiet, quiet," on the stage, and then everyone turned to look at the source of the voice. They saw that the big screen had already switched to Xiao Xiao's interface. Someone looked at the rapidly scrolling screen and muttered to himself, "Is this an automatic program installation? Why isn't there even a progress bar?" Yenran, who was watching the live broadcast, burst out laughing. She knew that Xiao Xiao was the best at acting cool. Soon, there was a wave of howls under Weibo. Flower fatty. Is this the hand speed of a human? Drifting ocean. This little brother, quickly come to the esports world. Once you come, there will be no one else. Black-hearted orange juice. This is 3,000 characters in a minute? It's completely unbelievable. Nordic Wolf, I was wrong. Just based on this hand speed, I'll take back what I said and kneel. However, there were also haters who jumped out and maintained a skeptical attitude. Frowny face, my family's cloth shop. What's the use of just having a fast hand speed? It depends on whether the program is good or not. When the time comes, don't fall into the trap. Chapter 50. 3 hours wasn't a long time, but it wasn't short either. At first, other than Qiao Zhao's hand speed, everyone else's speed was more or less the same. Wang Chong was relatively fast. After about 2 hours, nearly 1,000 lines of code had been completed, but everyone's speed had obviously slowed down. Only Qiao Xiao was like a perpetual motion machine. His speed did not slow down at all, and the number of lines of the program was still rising. There was a record of the number in the lower left corner of the screen. At this time, everyone could no longer be described as surprised. Everyone was shocked. It had already exceeded 5,000, and Qiao Xiao was still continuing. The program was not finished after it was written. Instead, it should be written while debugging. Huagang occasionally looked up at the screen. He was stunned for 2 seconds and suddenly turned to look at Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao was still leaning lazily against the back of the chair. His fingers seemed to be glued to the keyboard. The frequency and amplitude of his fingers could no longer be seen with the naked eye. Wang Chong's heart was in a storm. His heart was covered with dark clouds, and his nervous emotions overflowed like a flash flood. He bit his lip hard to calm himself down and cheer himself on. Just because the program was fast, it did not mean that the program would not be wrong. The more he made, the more mistakes he made. He saw that he could not catch up, so he simply checked the program he had written. At this time, the host's voice sounded. There were only 30 minutes left. Please debug as soon as possible. Qiao Xiao acted as if he did not hear it. He continued to tap on his program. Wang Chong had made up his mind. He wanted to make sure that the program he had written was not wrong. At this time, the audience and netizens also noticed this problem. Qiao Xiao was not debugging. Wild Summer. Does this Qiao Xiao know how to program? He has so many programs. It will be too late if he doesn't test it now. Rampage Demon. Or is the learning time too short? He is blindly confident in himself. What's the use of having a fast hand speed? Let's see how he cries. An experienced ape. As an experienced coder, I can tell you very clearly that this Qiao Xiao is a complete layman. I'm guessing that he must have memorized the program to be so confident. What I want to say is that no matter how much he plagiarized, it's impossible for him to be so perfect that there won't be any mistakes. At this time, the host seemed to have noticed the problem and emphasized again, contestants, please quickly adjust. There are only 30 minutes left. Qiao Xiao also asked the little tadpoles in her mind if they needed to do some debugging. However, this group of arrogant little tadpoles was completely arrogant. Our program won't have any problems. Qiao Xiao despised these little tadpoles in her heart and then let them be. However, he did not continue to type the code. It was enough, much more than Wang Chong beside him. Then, he pretended to test the code. The interface on the big screen immediately showed everyone's debugging interface. As a contestant who had studied for many years, Wang Chong had his own set of debugging methods. It was very professional and very useful. He quickly checked a few small mistakes. Seeing that part of the program was running successfully, Wang Chong finally smiled. The audience saw that Qiao Xiao did not debug sentence by sentence. Instead, he directly clicked on running. Then, a naked bird interface appeared on his interface. Qiao Xiao began to play level by level. The audience below was stunned. This is... He finished debugging directly? It seems to have run successfully. It succeeded in one go? That's incredible. Yanran saw this and smiled slightly. She knew that Qiao Xiao could do it. Yanran, the number of times you've smiled today is more than yesterday. Is that so? Why didn't I know? Have you finished writing the report? Yenran stopped smiling and returned to her cold self. She asked indifferently, I'll write it right away. Xiao Xiao saw that he had succeeded. There were still more than 20 minutes left. He directly began to play games in his seat. Some netizens who had just come to watch the live broadcast questioned, "Isn't this a competition? How did it become a live game?" Just like that, while everyone was in a daze, time was up and the first round of the competition ended. All the contestants left their seats. Xiao Zhao's wrists and fingers were a little tired after typing for so long. He turned his hands as he walked. Kong Ming caught up from the side and handed Xiao Xiao a bottle of water. "Xiao Xiao, your hand speed just now was godly. How did you practice?" "Playing games. It's fast when you play too much." "I thought you were dating and chatting on QQ. No one can compare to your hand speed." "Dating? Brother, I'm only in my first year of high school. You want me to date early? What's wrong with being in your first year of high school? You're not young anymore. You have everything you need. Ha ha ha. You guy, I suspect you're driving." The two of them chatted as they walked to the lounge at the back to rest. Xiao Xiao didn't see that Hua Gang was following behind them. He heard everything they said. He secretly formed a spell and hit Xiao Zhao's neck. Xiao Xiao staggered from the hit and rushed forward. Fortunately, Kong Ming pulled him back. Xiao Xiao felt a little strange. He touched his neck and then looked back thoughtfully. Everything was normal. He didn't see anything strange. However, he felt that the hit was very similar to Yenron's technique. Strange. After the lunch break, it was time for the judges to check the program. The question this time wasn't difficult, but it wasn't easy either. If someone could memorize the source code of Naked Little Bird, then there wouldn't be a problem. But how could it be so simple? Not to mention where to find the source code, even if it was found, it would be inconceivable to engrave it in one's mind. It was better to rely on one's own ability. It was more reliable to make it up line by line. The judges' evaluation criteria were as follows. 1. It must meet the project's requirements and operate normally. 2. The performance of the code must not be low. 3. The design must be extensible in the future. 4. It must not cause unnecessary maintenance costs. 5. It must not operate with low performance. 6. The code that isn't easy to understand needs to be commented. 7. It must be considered thoroughly. It must not be a code that works in most situations. It can't be a code that will die under the boundary conditions. The expert judges looked at the code one by one. The others didn't spend too much time. Only Xiao Zhao's code was evaluated by several judges because the process was too long. In the end, the scores were divided by several judges and then averaged. After the judges gave the scores, there was also a test by the public judges. This competition was the first innovation. Some esports experts from all over the country were invited to form a group of 40 public judges. They would play on the spot. These people's skills were very high. Naked Little Bird had all passed, so it should be the most legitimate to be judged by these players. Soon they were in place. Some people stood up after sitting down for less than 2 minutes because after passing the first level, there was nothing left to play. Those who were better were able to play until the third stage. Wang Chong was considered to be quite good. The majority of the judges ended at the third stage. In the end, only one of the judges was sitting in his chair, unable to get up. When they saw that he was also in the third stage, they wondered why he was playing for so long. A group of judges surrounded him. At this time, they found that this was not the original third level of Crazy Little Bird, but it had been modified by Xiao Xiao. The difficulty had been raised by several levels. It was not easy to enter the fourth level with the help of everyone, but he was stumped again. This attracted a lot of attention from the scene and netizens. The new version of Naked Little Bird had come out, and it was more difficult. This news spread like wildfire in the esports and IT world. In the end, the judges were stuck at the fifth level. At this time, a strange phenomenon occurred. It was not that there was a problem with the programming, but that the level of the players was too low. In order to ensure the fairness of the judges, the host called Xiao Xiao up from the backstage and asked him to play through this level in front of everyone. Xiao Xiao was still a little confused when he came up. This was very simple. He just made a few moves and changed a few angles. He actually passed the level directly. The public judges were all great gods in the gaming world. At this time, they looked at Xiao Xiao with eyes full of worship. This video was a highlight of the live broadcast, but it was not known who cut it and became the new version of Naked Little Bird's secret manual. The result of the first level was obvious. Xiao Xiao and Wang Chong's PK shocked everyone. It also made the national IT and esports circles know of Xiao Xiao's name. The first day of the competition ended. Because of Xiao Xiao's game, the public judges had delayed for a long time. Now the sun was setting in the west, but everyone present was still immersed in the excitement of the day. Hashtag Xiao Xiao's godly hand speed hashtag new naked little bird hashtag had become the hot search on Weibo. And Xiao Xiao, the protagonist, was very happy at this time because he received a WeChat message from Yan Ran, congratulating him on passing the first level. Is there any reward? When you get the big prize. I promise to complete the mission. What reward do you want? Accompany me for a day. And then there was no more. As for Bing Shan Yen, Xiao Xiao was very satisfied that she took the initiative to send him a WeChat message. From start to finish, it was less than 50 words. Xiao Xiao looked at it and smiled until his teeth could be seen. And Xiao Xiao's victory in the first round caused Hua Gang to feel very uncomfortable. He looked at the praises on Weibo, and the flame in his heart directly rose to the top of his head. The black blood in his blood took this opportunity to march on a large scale and occupy his territory. Hua Gang's first match was in the other group. He also directly advanced, but his glory was completely blocked by Xiao Xiao. If Xiao Xiao had successfully advanced, it wouldn't have been that hard to accept. But what made it hard for him to accept was that Xiao Xiao's level was clearly much higher than his. He couldn't catch up even if he climbed a few more steps. He couldn't accept it. In the world of cultivation, although he couldn't compare to Yan Ran, he was still a well-known figure among the younger generation. How could he lose to Xiao Xiao? He was now certain that Xiao Xiao's black aura had to be a problem. He was so strong during the competition. How could a normal cultivator be able to do that? Hua Gang concluded that even Yan Ran might not be able to reach this level. The seed of doubt in his heart had already been planted. It had now grown into a small tree. After being watered by the black blood, it bared its fangs and brandished its claws to provoke Hua Gang. If he didn't do something, his conscience would feel uneasy. Chapter 51. After a day of competition, the tadpoles in Xiao Xiao's mind were still working hard. After nearly 3 hours of high-intensity competition, the tadpoles were a little tired, and the signal they sent to Xiao Xiao was that they were lazily lying in their rooms and sleeping soundly. They were tired, and so was Xiao Xiao. In order to recover his energy, Xiao Xiao lay on the bed after returning to his room and naturally used the spirit attraction technique. The surrounding spirit energy surged, making him feel as comfortable as if he was soaking in a hot spring. The spirit energy and devil energy merged into one, circulating in his body over and over again, nourishing the tadpoles in his mind. At this time, in a room with a layer of fog, a tadpole seemed to have woken up, but when it looked around, it didn't know where it was or where it was going. Xiao Xiao recalled today's competition. In fact, today's competition was very simple. He only needed to change the source code in his mind slightly and directly write it out. Fortunately, it wasn't a test of overall design ability. If it was a test of creating a brand new large-scale program, it would be a little difficult for him. The tadpoles were also a little embarrassed at this point, feeling as if they were missing something. On a certain path, there was a place that they had neglected, so they couldn't connect it no matter how hard they tried. Xiao Xiao was also looking for this channel that could connect the circuits in his mind while he was using the spirit energy. The spirit energy mixed with devil energy nourished everywhere in his mind, and the tadpoles in the foggy room also felt the nourishment of the spirit energy. Although the environment was very comfortable, they couldn't get out. Gradually, it was midnight, and the whole hotel fell into silence. It was dark, and some evil thoughts floated to the surface. In the afternoon, Huagang secretly followed Xiao Xiao and watched him enter his room. Under the cover of the night, he went to the window of Xiao Xiao's room. He used magic to find a way to open the window and hid in it. Only a dim bedside lamp was turned on in the room. He saw Xiao Xiao lying on the bed with his eyes closed, and a circle of black devil energy lingered around his body. His tall figure and handsome face made him look like a noble prince who was in deep sleep. He was simply a monster. Huagang found it increasingly difficult to understand Yanron's words. He believed in his own judgment. This person would definitely be an evil person in the future. Even if he didn't do anything evil now, when his devil qi erupted in the future, it would be a disaster for the human world. Furthermore, the purity of his devil qi had already surpassed the limits of humans. It could be seen from today's competition that humans were like ants in front of him. What Huagang wanted to do today was to strangle this elephant in the cradle. As the spiritual energy became more and more abundant, the little tadpoles in Xiao Zhao's mind became energetic again. Especially the tadpole that was locked in the misty house, it began to scurry around, trying to find an exit. It could vaguely hear a commotion outside. It moved closer to the source of the commotion. Sure enough, there seemed to be many of its kind walking around, chatting loudly and making a ruckus. It shouted loudly. At first, it did not attract any attention, but as it continued to shout, there seemed to be some response from outside. Listen, there seems to be a sound. The little tadpoles collectively quieted down and pricked up their ears to listen carefully. Indeed, there seemed to be another tadpole's cry for help. Oh no, our partner is trapped. Everyone, think of a way to save him. The group of little tadpoles found the source of the sound and began to desperately squeeze into the misty room. At this time, Xiao Zhao's head began to sweat because the little tadpoles in his mind were fighting with a layer of mist. They twisted themselves into pillars and desperately crashed into the layer of mist. Like soldiers besieging a city, they used all their strength to break through the city. Following the repeated collisions, the thick fog seemed to have loosened a little. Keep up the good work, brothers. Victory is in front of us. At this time, Huagang had been observing for a long time. He found that Xiao Xiao, who was sleeping on the bed, began to sweat. He knew that this was the most critical moment for a practitioner, and also the weakest moment. If he attacked at this time, he would definitely succeed in one fell swoop. He no longer hesitated. He raised his right hand and mobilized all the strength in his body. A white light shot toward Xiao Zhao's head. Bang! Xiao Zhao's head suddenly suffered a heavy blow. At this time, the little tadpoles, who were at the critical moment, were knocked into dizziness. All the tadpoles were knocked out, and their whole bodies floated around in the brain circuit. Every tadpole was knocked dizzy. At this time, the city gate that they were attacking was broken, but the tadpole that lived inside was not spared. It was also knocked out and floated around in the brain circuit like the other tadpoles. Xiao Xiao instinctively reacted. Because his whole brain was in chaos, he could not wake up at all. He could only rely on instinct. The devil energy in his body instantly exploded, and the black gas shrouded the whole room to resist the sudden attack. Huagang, on the other hand, fell to the corner of the wall because of the sudden reaction force and the pressure of the black gas. The whole space around him was like a wall rapidly approaching him, making it impossible for him to dodge. He could only mobilize all the energy in his body to resist, but this resistance was only a small wave in the sea. How could he resist a monstrous wave? Huagang did not have the strength to resist at all. The devil energy and the reaction force made him feel that his whole body had suffered a heavy blow. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. He did not dare to stay any longer. He quickly returned the way he came and left Xiao Zhao's room. When he returned to his room, he hurriedly circulated his qi and adjusted his breathing. He did not expect this Xiao Xiao to be so powerful. He lay on the bed and gasped for breath. He was like a patient who lacked oxygen. This impact made his internal organs faintly vibrate. However, he did not dare to go to the hospital. He found a few pills and took them. In his heart, He listed Chow Chow as his #1 enemy. Chow Chow directly fainted on the bed. He was unconscious because the little tadpoles in his brain had not woken up yet. Just like that, he remained unconscious until the next morning. The next morning, Weibo exploded. There was a sudden accident in the Information Science Olympiad. Chow Chow, who was ranked first in the first round, suddenly fainted last night. He was sent to the hospital and was still unconscious. The doctor said that the cause was unknown. It might be due to the impact of a heavy object. So far, the organizers had reported it, but no clues had been found. According to speculation, if Chow Chow did not wake up before 11 o'clock today, he would not be able to participate in today's competition. In other words, this genius contestant would be eliminated. The host's words were like a heavy punch to the hearts of all the netizens and audience. Everyone's appetite had been whetted yesterday, anticipating Chow Chow's even more amazing performance that day. No one had expected such a shocking turn of events. Professor He's heart immediately ached. He said in the interview that this genius youngster had been discovered by chance and had only just begun to shine in the preliminaries, but unexpectedly encountered such a disaster. We all wish him well and hope that he wakes up soon. We also ask the organizers to come up with an emergency plan for today. Fantasy westward journey. Someone must be jealous, using such despicable methods. The organizers and public security must investigate properly, don't let the bad guys succeed. Where did time go? Hope Chow Chow wakes up soon. Try to make it for today's competition, I really want to watch him compete. Cat from the North. Please postpone the competition. It is my home. Please postpone the competition +1. I love freedom. Pray for Chow Chow. Pomelo blossoms. Pray for Chow Chow. There was already a long queue on Weibo with two main requests. One was to ask the organizers to postpone the competition, and two was to pray for Chow Chow. Soon, the postponement of the Information Science Olympiad and praying for Chow Chow became the top searches on Weibo. On the way back to Nanchuan, Little Six saw the news and said casually, "Hua Gang's competition sure is full of twists and turns." One of the contestants, Chow Chow, was attacked and fainted. Everyone on Weibo is calling for the competition to be postponed. Yenron's head whipped around when she heard this. What did you say? Who was attacked and fainted? It's the one called Chow Chow. Let's go to Xining City. Yenran, why are we going to Xining City? There's an important mission there. Turn around. After Chow Chow was taken to the hospital, he was sent directly to the intensive care unit at the organizer's request. He was fitted with an electrocardiogram and brainwave machine. Various machines were strapped to his head and it was extremely uncomfortable, but Chow Chow still wouldn't wake up. The various tests from the machines made the little tadpoles in his head even more uncomfortable and caused him to feel even more dizzy. Professor He, the hotel representative, and a police officer discussed Chow Chow's condition with the doctor at the door. The doctor said, according to the tests, there's nothing serious. He might have fainted from the impact. We don't know when he'll wake up, that'll be up to him. Professor He couldn't accept this. You have to give me an explanation. What kind of security measures do you have in place? Why would someone attack him? Officer, do you have any leads on your end? Would he be attacked for no reason? There are no surveillance cameras in the hotel room. We're still investigating. However, we did find a footprint on the window. Someone probably snuck into the room through the window. Are there no surveillance cameras elsewhere? They can't see where this person came from? Please calm down, Professor He. We're also investigating. Everyone is very sorry about what happened to Chow Chow. The most important thing now is for Chow Chow to wake up. Professor He paced back and forth anxiously in the corridor. Due to the appeal on Weibo, the organizers were also discussing whether to postpone the competition. The public is too vocal, but we have no responsibility for Chow Chow's injury. Agreeing to postpone the competition would have too big of an impact and be unfair to the other contestants. But we still have to give the public an explanation. How about this? If Chow Chow can wake up before noon today, we can allow him to compete in the long-distance competition. That'll be a compromise on our part. Just like that, 11 p.m. became the deadline. If Xiao Xiao couldn't finish the competition before then, he would be eliminated. Chapter 52. Soon, the competition committee issued an official announcement on the official Weibo. In response to the public reaction caused by Xiao Xiao's incident, they specially decided to allow Xiao Xiao to participate in the long-distance competition before 11 o'clock. However, if he did not finish the competition before 11 o'clock, he would be automatically disqualified. Huagang suddenly threw his phone away. What kind of bullshit committee was this? They even opened the back door, which was very unfair to others. Did they allow someone to participate in the long-distance competition just because someone was sick? He immediately scolded on Weibo, and many haters also joined him in questioning the fairness of the competition committee. However, compared to the power of the praise, these haters were negligible. So everyone's eyes were focused on 11 o'clock. Drive faster, faster. Yanran kept urging. She set out at 7 o'clock in the morning and had been rushing on the highway. It turned out that she had turned into Nanchuan and was heading to Xining City from the highway entrance. According to the map, she still had 2 hours before she arrived. The car was already flying. Little Six said anxiously, "Yanran, what urgent task is it? Safety is also very important. The car is going 180 kilometers per hour. It's about a person's life. So be it. I'll take the ticket." The car was like an arrow leaving the bow, flying on the highway. Soon, the Highway Management Center noticed the abnormality of the car. They were ready to intercept them at the next intersection. A large group of reporters had already gathered at the entrance of the hospital. They were very concerned about whether Xiao Xiao could wake up or not. The whole hospital thought that a big shot had come. They checked their patient from top to bottom and found that they were waiting for Xiao Xiao to wake up. Looking at Xiao Xiao's appearance, the hospital automatically defined him as a star in the entertainment industry. However, they searched for a long time, but there was no star named Xiao Xiao in the entertainment industry. While it was bustling outside, Xiao Xiao began to struggle inside his body. In his subconscious mind, he seemed to remember that he had something to attend today, but these little tadpoles seemed to have completely forgotten. In the depths of his memory, the two began to fight. Gradually, a little tadpole was disturbed and woke up. It saw that its companions were all floating in the air in a daze, so it quickly tried to wake them up. However, his strength alone was too weak. After shouting for a long time, he only managed to wake up a few people. There were hundreds of thousands of little tadpoles in Xiao Xiao's head. What was he going to do? Yanran and the others had already arrived at the highway intersection. At this moment, a police car stopped beside them and shouted at them, "Please stop the car. Please stop the car for inspection." The driver looked at Yanran. "Do you want to stop?" Yanran looked at the police car that was glaring at them. She opened the window and threw something out. Then, she ordered the driver, "Keep driving. Don't stop." Someone got out of the police car and picked up the things that had been thrown down. He was just a small police officer and didn't understand anything. He could only chase after the speeding car and continue to shout, "Please stop for inspection." But in the blink of an eye, the car disappeared from his sight. He immediately reported to his superior, took a picture of what he had picked up, and posted it. Soon, he received an order: "Stop tracking and don't interfere." The police officer looked at the message in his hand in a daze. After repeatedly calling to confirm, he realized that it was someone he could never afford to offend in his life. Then, the speeding car drove to the first hospital in Xining City. They found that there were a lot of reporters at the entrance of the hospital. Yanran said, "Go straight to the basement." Then, after some disguise, she put on a nurse's uniform and went to Xiao Xiao's ward. There were also several reporters at the door of the ward. The doctor was checking the ward, and Yanran silently hid at the back. She watched the doctor carefully examine Xiao Xiao's body and then go out with a group of people. She didn't go out with them, but stayed at the back. Yanran directly hung the "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door and locked it directly. She walked to Qiao Zhao's side and observed the devil's aura all over his body. At this time, what surrounded his body was actually the Reiki automatically attracted by the spirit attraction spell. It mixed with his devil's aura and circulated around his body. Yanran found that the Reiki and the devil's aura stopped moving around Qiao Zhao's head, like a cover, surrounding his whole head. Here it is. Only the circulation of the aura could cause the normal operation of the human body. Yanran raised her hand and used her own Reiki to comfort the gray cover wrapped around Qiao Zhao's head. Yanran's ancestors practiced medicine, and her family had a unique skill: repair. At this time, it was time for her to play the biggest role. Yanran used her palm to slowly guide the flow of the air cover above Qiao Zhao's head. The gray cover was like an obedient child, slowly revolving around Yanran's hand around Qiao Zhao's head. Qiao Zhao only felt that his head entered a gentle embrace, warm and gentle. The little tadpoles that were originally in a mess in his head were sent into their respective rooms one by one. The little tadpoles soaked comfortably in the water. They were no longer at a loss, but gradually found their home and their consciousness. When they woke up, it was as if they had encountered a great disaster, and they couldn't remember what had happened at all. But they found that there were a few new members. These new members were the tadpoles that were originally locked in the room shrouded in fog. Now they were finally released and joined with the other tadpoles. Everything was so beautiful. Qiao Zhao's brain was like a machine that had some lubricant added to it, and it began to work quickly. When Qiao Zhao opened his eyes, he saw Yanran holding his head in the air with her eyes closed, guiding the air flow around him slowly. At this time, Yanran was as fresh as a water lily in the sky. A few strands of hair fell on her pale face. Her hair was slightly messy, as if she hadn't taken care of it seriously in the morning. She was wearing a nurse's uniform and a mask on her face. Her slender and round fingers were crystal clear as if they had magic. Her eyelashes trembled slightly, and tiny beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. Qiao Zhao looked at her in a daze. Once again, it was Yanran who saved him. He stretched out his right hand and gently held Yanran's hand that was stroking his head. Yanran opened her eyes and met Qiao Zhao's surprised and grateful and moved eyes. "Thank you, Yanran, for saving me again." Yanran wanted to withdraw her hand, but Qiao Zhao didn't let go. He firmly grasped Yanran's fingers and pulled her closer to him. He said to her again, "Thank you, Yanran. I've troubled you again." Yanran withdrew her hand again. This time, Qiao Zhao didn't insist. Yanran said indifferently, "Why did you trouble me again this time?" Qiao Zhao scratched his head and sat up from the bed. "I guess I'm too handsome. Someone wants to destroy my handsome face." Yanran was suddenly amused by him. "I think it's your mouth that's too cheap, causing others to take revenge." Qiao Zhao pouted and looked very wronged. "I really didn't do anything. I just took part in a game yesterday." "Are you okay now? Can you continue the game?" "Okay, I'm fine. But I should be disqualified. There's no time." Qiao Zhao looked at the clock on the wall and shook his head helplessly. "I don't think so. The organizing committee has agreed to let you participate in the game remotely. You still have half an hour." "Really? That's great." Qiao Zhao jumped up from the bed. "Yanran, you said that you would reward me if I won the prize. Just wait and see. I won't let you down." Yanran looked at Qiao Zhao, who was alive and kicking again, like a fish in the water. The tension in her heart was finally relieved. "I'll wait for your good news. I have to go first." "Yanran, aren't you going to stay with me?" Qiao Zhao was like a dependent child at this time, reluctant to let her go. "You're always like this when you're sick. I really have something to do today. I'll wait for your good news online." "All right." Qiao Zhao knew that Yanran didn't seem to like him clinging to her, so he could only watch as she left the room. Qiao Zhao's thoughts turned. He already understood that someone must not want him to participate in today's competition. "Sorry to disappoint you." Qiao Zhao left the room and found Professor He. Computers and cameras were already set up outside to prepare for Qiao Zhao to wake up. Professor he was extremely excited as soon as he saw Chow Chow wake up. Can you finish the competition? Leave it to me, Professor. Don't worry. The contestants were given a long section of code for the second round of the competition. The final goal was to simulate the detailed movements of a robotic arm. There seemed to be a problem with the simulated arm on the computer. Only one arm moved up and down awkwardly and couldn't move in different directions according to instructions. The fingers in front of the arm were pressed together and couldn't make any finer movements. There was only half an hour left before Professor he was asked to leave the room. Several cameras and internet were streaming live. 2 minutes had already been wasted from the moment Chow Chow walked into the room, sat down in front of the computer, and began to read the questions. The internet was also excited when the organizers announced that Chow Chow had woken up. Dreaming of the Earth. He's awake, he's awake. Chow Chow is finally awake. I'm waiting for him to create another legend. Egg's my favorite. That's a joke. There's less than half an hour left. Do you think he's a god? I am the entire harem. Why don't you go sleep a bit more? At least you'll be able to keep your score from the first round. Chi on the door. Can he do it or not? Did they do it on purpose? They even made up news about him being knocked unconscious. Peach tea. I believe in Chow Chow. I'll wait for him to create a miracle. The online comments instantly split into two factions. Even if they were arguing fiercely, there were only 20 minutes left. The internet fell silent in no time because Chow Chow had already started to solve the questions. There were around 1,000 lines of code in total. He first scanned it from top to bottom, then his fingers flew over the keyboard. Chapter 53. This time, he opened the testing software, but unlike others who tested line by line, he tested section by section. His hand speed and eye speed shot up like a rocket. The audience could keep up with his speed in the beginning, but as the screen scrolled up and down, the code quickly became a blur of white in the audience's eyes. The scrolling wheel moved up and down, and the screen flashed with occasional pauses. The audience wanted to see which line he had changed, but before they could see the number of lines, he had already finished changing. The standard answer seemed to be in Chow Zhao's mind. He could accurately locate the line and quickly correct it. After he was done, he didn't even need to run the program and directly corrected the next error. The 1,000 lines of code were quickly changed, and Chow Zhao rewrote a large section. Shocked to the core, why did he delete this section? Didn't you say you could only make changes? Isn't that against the rules? Plaid shirt, as a senior programmer, let me tell you, if the code is too long, of course you can delete it and rewrite it. Chow Chow sat there, his long legs stretched lazily under the table. His movements were as smooth as flowing water, like the program was child's play to him and he handled it with ease. Flying in June. That's way too casual. King in land. Is he sure he changed everything correctly? I haven't seen him test it yet. Professor He, who was standing at the door, also broke out in a cold sweat on his behalf. Although Professor He often saw him calmly finish a program and didn't have the habit of running it as he tested it, how could he be as flawless as before under such tight circumstances? Time passed by, and soon there were only 5 minutes left. Chow Chow typed the last key on the keyboard. Then he said to the staff member, "Do you have water?" "I didn't drink any water yet." The staff member was taken aback by his actions. "There's only 5 minutes left. Do you want to finish the competition first?" Chow Chow heard the uncertainty in the staff member's voice. "Oh, you mean this? I'm already done. Take a look." Chow Chow clicked run, and the simulated mechanical arm began to move agilely. "Look, isn't it moving quite happily? I also improved its accuracy. Originally, it could only move its fingers in a small area. Now, I can make its 5 fingers cooperate with each other to grab things." The staff went forward to take a look. It was true. He saw the mechanical arm's thumb and index finger pressed together as if it was pinching something. As for the other 3 fingers, Chow Chow turned it in a different direction. The staff saw that it was an okay gesture. "I've submitted it. Can you get me a glass of water now?" "Thank you." Qiao Zhao's smile was like a blooming epiphyllum that had been waiting for a long time in the night. It only lasted for a few seconds, but it was incomparably brilliant. The staff member's face suddenly turned red and her heart thumped. She hurriedly said, "Wait a moment, I'll go get some water." Qiao Zhao's blooming smile and mechanical arm's okay gesture had been captured by many netizens. Waiting to become a Buddha. That's it? You're done? It's not time yet. Plaid shirt. He succeeded just like that. That's unbelievable. Senior ape. Other people couldn't finish after 3 hours, but Qiao Zhao only took 20 minutes. Is he even human? Professor, he couldn't stop smiling as he watched from the outside. His original worry disappeared. He knew this was a genius young man. The host was also shocked by Qiao Zhao's performance. He carefully chose his words and finally had no choice but to say dryly, "We congratulate Qiao Zhao for completing the task within the allotted time. Time's up. The papers will be handed in at 11 o'clock sharp." There were a total of 50 people present, and only about a third of them had completed on time. Next, we will invite the contestants to rest in the backstage. We will invite the on-site judges and public judges to come up and inspect them. The inspection this time was relatively simple, unlike the first round, which had required the contestants to play it on the spot. A mechanical arm was directly transported on stage. After the program was connected, the judges only needed to look at the arm's operation to determine whether the program was good or bad. Some contestants knew they hadn't finished modifying their program, so the mechanical arm froze after moving slightly. These contestants were also able to see the live evaluation results from backstage. When they saw the stalled program, they all lowered their heads in silence. However, there were also some who ran successfully. A third of them completed on time, and most of them had successfully modified their program. Hua Gang endured the tightness in his chest for 3 hours and hurriedly completed the final modification before 11 o'clock p.m. When it was his turn to be tested, he was so nervous that his palms were sweating. He hadn't run the program yet, so he knew there were still some bugs that he hadn't had time to modify. However, among all the contestants, he was still considered the most outstanding. The judges gave him a score of advancement. He sighed in relief. He had finally made it to the finals. Finally, it was Qiao Zhao's turn. The audience's expectant gazes were all on him. After the program was connected, rhythmic music began to play in real time. Then the mechanical arm first slowly lifted up, then waved at the audience. Then it began to move up and down to the rhythm of the music. As it moved down, a sensor on its head lit up a red light. It detected a small object on the ground not far away from it. Therefore, the arm automatically reached down and used its thumb and index finger to pick up the small object and place it on the stage below the arm. Finally, the song ended. The arm raised up and made an OK sign to everyone. Then it waved again and froze there. This maneuver was truly breathtaking. The live audience roared with joy at the mechanical arm's performance. Big Frog at the bottom of the pit. Brother Qiao really won't disappoint us. Money everywhere. A new star is slowly rising. Plaid shirt. He's not just slowly rising. He's already the brightest star in the sky. Flying snow in June. I'm in awe. He refreshed my IQ. I'm too late. From now on, he's my idol. Prince between the brows. I'm transferring from the entertainment industry to the IT industry. This is the star I want to pursue. Professor, he was proud to have such a last disciple. He couldn't stop smiling. He was so proud of himself that he was happier than when he had won an international award. The surrounding professors all looked at him enviously. Old He, I really underestimated you. I can't believe you found such a gem. Professor Wong walked over to Professor He and sighed with admiration. He is indeed a genius. I understand a lot of things right away. This talent is hard to come by. We can focus on grooming him. Professor Wong, you have to put in some effort as well. Don't blame me for fighting you over him when he goes to university. Ha ha ha, I have confidence in that. I already reserved a spot for him. Don't even think about it. Professor He already knew that Qiao Xiao was sure to shine after this competition. However, as his last disciple, he would be sure to keep him. Huagang watched from backstage and clenched his fists. He didn't expect Qiao Xiao to be so capable. Yesterday's competition hadn't had any real impact. If anything, it had made him famous. He had tried to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Meanwhile, Qiao Xiao was curled up on the sofa, texting Yanran. He forwarded a video of the robot that someone had taken on the internet to her. When Yanran saw it, she laughed from the bottom of her heart. The teasing and arrogant Qiao Xiao had changed so much. He was getting better and better. Yanran replied to him with a huge like. She was currently on her way to Nanchuan. Little Six was very surprised. Yanran, has the urgent matter been resolved already? What mission was it exactly? You were in such a rush, I thought the sky was falling. Yanran smiled faintly. It's already been resolved. If she hadn't arrived in time, a certain someone's smile would have collapsed. The competition ended the next day in the morning. In the end, only 10 people advanced to the finals. They were already in the top 10 nationwide. According to the scores given by the judges, Qiao Xiao ranked first, and Huagang ranked sixth. This was expected and within reason. They had half a day of rest in the afternoon. The Information Science Olympiad was too mentally draining, so in order to allow the contestants to perform better, the finals were scheduled to be held 3 days after the semifinals. Professor He was going to use the next few days to visit his good friend, so he reminded Qiao Xiao to be careful. The investigation at the hotel was still inconclusive, in case someone tried it again. The only thing Qiao Xiao had to do for the next 2 days was to go to the police station to cooperate with the investigation. He already made an appointment with the police the next morning. After getting ready, he hailed a taxi to the police station. After the incident last time, he had already been transferred to another room. The security measures had been increased a level. Other than the bathroom, which had no cameras, the police had installed cameras in every room. Qiao Xiao had to talk to the police about this, so why did they install cameras in his room as well? He had no freedom or privacy at all. He wanted to change to another room, but the hotel said that it was arranged by the police and refused to allow him to change rooms. Now he couldn't leave or change rooms, so he could only ask the police for help. The police station was overcrowded with people who were here to do their jobs. Qiao Xiao used the phone call from before to find an Officer Zhang handling the case. Officer Zhang was working on something with another officer in front of the computer. The two of them were so focused that they did not notice that Qiao Xiao had walked to their side. Their computer was showing a video, and they were watching it over and over again. However, because the video quality was low, it wasn't very clear. The screen showed a person with a very low cap withdrawing money from an ATM. F*CK. The quality is too low. I can't see anything clearly. Even the basic features are blocked, Officer Zhang complained. The technician said the original video was fine, but for some reason, the quality became like this when we got our hands on it. Can they reconstruct it? They said it would be very difficult. They don't have the most advanced equipment or professional personnel. This case has been dragging on for a long time, and the higher-ups are already angry. They thought it was a small case, but they didn't expect to be stuck on the video. The two officers were so focused that Qiao Xiao shouted several times, but no one responded. Qiao Xiao had to pat Officer Zhang on the shoulder. Officer Zhang, I'm Qiao Xiao. Chapter 54. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Officer Zhang was very impatient. He waved his hand behind him and slapped Qiao Xiao's hand away. His eyes were still fixed on the computer screen. Qiao Xiao had no choice but to reach out and block the front of the computer. Hey, kid, where did you come from? You're disrupting police work. Officer Zhang, it's me. Officer Zhang finally realized that the boy in front of him with hooked eyes was the main character of the case he was in charge of that day. Oh, it's you, Qiao Xiao. Wait a minute. I'm busy with something else. Chow Xiao looked and said to Officer Zhang, "Do you need help?" "What help?" Officer Zhang didn't turn his head. He repeatedly clicked on the video with the mouse. "I'll help you clear up this video. You know how to do this? Right, you're here for the competition, right? Come, sit, sit, sit." Officer Zhang's wrinkled face smiled like a morning glory. He pulled Chow Xiao to sit down. "Can this be saved? I heard it was very clear. Then the disc was damaged during the transmission. Let me save it for you." Thus, Officer Zhang and his other colleague watched Chow Xiao's fingers fly and dance on the keyboard. On the computer screen, lines of code seemed to be hacked into by a hacker. The policeman next to him asked, "You really know how to do this? This is a police station's computer. Don't do anything bad." Chow Xiao raised his head and glanced at him. The corners of his eyes curled up. "Why don't you find someone else to try?" The simple-minded policeman scratched his head. Hee, I don't mean anything else. I just don't understand." "It's good that you don't understand." Chow Xiao didn't say anything else. He seriously began to restore the data of the video. Officer Zhang and his colleagues stared fixedly at the screen, trying to figure out what was going on. However, there was no blooming on the screen. After about half an hour, the original clear video was played. "Chow Xiao, you are awesome." Officer Zhang patted Chow Xiao's shoulder happily. He was now beaming with joy. "I didn't expect you to be so handsome, and your computer skills are really good." The naive police officer also gave Chow Xiao a thumbs up. "I'm impressed." Then, the two police officers put Chow Xiao aside and watched the video carefully. After a while, they finally found a clue and smiled with satisfaction. "We can finally close the case. I knew it was this person. There must be something wrong with him." At this time, Officer Zhang found that Chow Xiao was still waiting for him. This time, he was not impatient at all. He put on a sincere smile and said with appreciation, "Young man, you're really good. You've helped us a lot." The naive police officer quickly asked Chow Xiao to sit down and offered him a cup of hot tea. Chow Xiao cleared his throat. "I'm here today to ask about my case." "I'm sorry, Chow Xiao. Your case is actually a bit complicated. We haven't found any clues yet." Officer Zhang rubbed his hands embarrassedly. "I'm here today to discuss with you whether you can remove the camera in my room. This way, there will be someone watching me when I sleep in bed. It's too awkward." "This is actually to protect your safety. We are worried that the suspect will make another move if his first attack fails," Officer Zhang explained to Chow Xiao. "I suspect that the person who framed me is the one who came to participate in the competition this time. I think his goal is to prevent me from participating in the competition on the second day. You can focus on the other contestants." Chow Xiao directly gave his analysis. "We have the same suspicion, but we haven't found the corresponding evidence. Plus, there are a lot of people. It will take time to investigate bit by bit. We checked the cameras around you, but we haven't found anything yet. So, we can only wait for his next move. We have used the camera to set up a trap and are waiting for him to walk into it. Then the camera outside should be fine. Can you remove the one in my room? It's too inconvenient." This. Officer Zhang was a bit troubled. Chow Xiao used his eyes to signal Officer Zhang to look at his computer. "If you don't remove it for me, then I will find a way to block it." "Okay then, but the alarm in the room can't be removed. If you find anything strange, you have to contact us immediately." "No problem." Chow Xiao had achieved his goal, so he didn't stay any longer. He said goodbye and went home. Officer Zhang was full of praise for Chow Xiao. "I saw the video of your competition. It was a complete sweep. The other contestants are on a completely different level from you. I have high hopes for you to be the champion this time. In the future, if there are any computer cases in the police station, can I ask you for help? It's my duty to serve the people." Chow Xiao patted his chest and winked at Officer Zhang. "You little guy, you're too handsome. Don't wink at me. You're making my heart tremble." Officer Zhang joked and waved goodbye to Qiao Xiao enthusiastically. Qiao Xiao called a taxi and was about to return to the hotel when his phone rang. It was a WeChat message from Yanran. Did the police say anything? Always concise and to the point, it was Yanran's style. I just went to the police station. They said there are no clues yet. Do you have any suspects in mind? I'm loved by everyone. Why would anyone dislike me? Qiao Xiao sent Yanran a selfie of himself. Don't go out for the next 2 days. Stay in the hotel and be careful. Okay. Also, Hua Gang from our team will be competing with you. If you have any problems, you can ask him for help. Who's Hua Gang? He's the one we met at the Japanese restaurant. Are you sure he's a good person? Could it be that he's the one who set me up? No, Hua Gang is a good person. Yanran said firmly. Qiao Xiao had some doubts in his heart, but he still agreed with Yanran. Hua Gang laid in the hotel for a day. The discomfort in his chest finally subsided. Just then, he received a call from Yanran. Hua Gang, this is Yanran. I have something to ask of you. Yanran's cold voice came through the phone. Hua Gang rarely received calls from Yanran outside of work. When he saw that the caller ID was Yanran, his chest no longer hurt. He jumped out of bed in surprise. Yanran, just say it. I'll help you if I can. I have a classmate who's participating in the same competition as you. His name is Qiao Xiao. But 2 days ago, he was attacked. I hope you can pay more attention and see if there's any danger around him. Hua Gang didn't speak for a long time. Hello, Hua Gang, are you listening? After a while, Hua Gang's dry voice came through. Yanran, why are you so concerned about him? He's my classmate. Okay, I got it. After hanging up the phone, Hua Gang's heart felt like it was tightly caught by a fishing net. His heart was about to bleed, and the sharp pain in his chest came again. Hua Gang thought it was ridiculous. He was the one who attacked Qiao Xiao, and Yanran actually asked him to take care of him. How ridiculous! He was already possessed by a demon. The more Yanran protected him, the crazier he felt in his heart. As the saying goes, know thyself and know thy enemy to be victorious. An even more vicious plan sprouted in Hua Gang's heart. The next morning, Qiao Xiao went to the hotel's restaurant alone. The buffet was quite rich, and he was very full. He met a few players who were participating in the same competition. Kong Ming was also there, and they chatted happily. They agreed to play games together. Qiao Xiao thought that since he had nothing to do, he might as well go. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Bring me along. Qiao Xiao turned around and saw a square face with an awe-inspiring righteousness. Qiao Xiao remembered that it was Hua Gang, whom he had met before. Hi, Qiao Xiao, we meet again. Yesterday, Yanran called me and asked me to care about you. Hua Gang smiled brightly. Okay, let's play games together. It's my treat. Qiao Xiao was still as generous and carefree as ever. Qiao Xiao, let's celebrate you getting first place. Also, let's go wash away your bad luck and relax. You'll be safe with us. The group of people laughed and joked as they marched towards the internet cafe next to the hotel. These computer experts could sweep away thousands of soldiers in the internet cafe. Qiao Xiao didn't even need to do anything. Their team had already won several times. Logically speaking, they were the top computer enthusiasts in China. These games were just a small matter to them. Soon, they were surrounded by a group of people. Seeing them play games, some of them even recognized Qiao Xiao. Wow, I can see Almighty Qiao's hand speed with my own eyes. This group of experts is too good. Almighty Qiao doesn't even need to do anything. He's already done. Asking for the size of the opponent's trauma. After the first round, Qiao Xiao needed to go to the toilet. After saying goodbye to everyone, he went straight to the toilet. When Hua Gang saw Qiao Xiao leave, he secretly followed behind. The toilet in the internet cafe was only found after a few turns. When Xiao Xiao came out of the alley, he happened to pass by a dark corridor. Xiao Xiao didn't pay much attention to it. He put his hands in his pockets and walked over lazily. But at this moment, a sound came from above. When Xiao Xiao heard the sound, he looked up. The lamp above his head and the lampshade came crashing down on his head. He dodged to the side, and his self-protection magic rushed up from the top of his head. His feet slipped to the side, and with the help of the magic, he slid the lamp to the side of his body. It crashed to the ground with a bang. At this moment, Xiao Xiao was pulled to the side. Xiao Xiao looked back. It was Huagang. "Are you okay? I saw it rushing over. I thought it was too late. Luckily you dodged it." Huagang showed a concerned expression. "Yeah, I'm fine." The lamp didn't scare Xiao Xiao. Instead, it was Huagang who pulled him that caught him off guard. He looked at Huagang's concerned face. Maybe Yanran was right. Huagang had some skills and wouldn't harm him. "Thanks, bro." The two of them walked back to the internet cafe as if they were brothers. They continued to play for a while. When it was time for lunch, the few of them were bored. The opponent's skills were too weak. The group of people went back to the hotel. "Xiao Xiao, I'm going back first. Call me if you need anything." Before Huagang left, he left his phone number with Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao felt that it was a little troublesome for him to go out. Why did the lamp fall down on his head? It was better to listen to Yanran and stay in the hotel. However, things didn't go as planned. He received a call from Professor Wang in the afternoon. Professor Wang asked him to help debug Mount Tai's program while he was free. Xiao Xiao was interested in this matter, but he was a little worried about going out. He thought about it again and again. He called Officer Zhang and told him his schedule. He packed up and went out quickly. Huagang was worried that Xiao Xiao would stay in the hotel. How could he lure it out? He sat in the hotel lobby and ordered a cup of coffee. He was thinking about what to do. He was worried about not having a pillow when he saw Xiao Xiao go out. Chapter 55. Xiao Xiao went out and hailed a taxi. Huagang did not hesitate and directly got into the taxi behind Xiao Xiao. He curled up his body in the back seat and sat behind the driver to prevent the person in front from seeing him from the rear-view mirror. Xiao Xiao's taxi drove for about 20 minutes and stopped at the entrance of a high-end residential area. Then, Xiao Xiao got out of the car and registered at the residential area's security office. The security guard called to confirm Xiao Xiao's identity before letting him in. Huagang was puzzled. How could Xiao Xiao know someone here? He secretly recorded a video. Because the residential area security was very strict, Huagang could only wait at the entrance. Xiao Xiao stayed there for more than 2 hours. When he came out, a middle-aged man patted Xiao Xiao's shoulder and sent Xiao Xiao out while talking and laughing. Huagang still recorded a video. The more he looked at the middle-aged man, the more familiar he looked. Then, he suddenly remembered that he was one of the judges. How could this be? Could it be that Xiao Xiao had some shady business with him? A contestant meeting a judge in private. This was big news. Huagang did not expect to find such an explosive piece of news when he was following Xiao Xiao. He made some changes to his original plan and started to get busy when he returned to the hotel. Xiao Xiao was at Professor Wang's house. He helped him debug Tarzan's program. Professor Wang admired him very much. His robot had finally solved its top-heavy problem and became more agile. This robot was like Professor Wang's child. He invited a professional teacher like Xiao Xiao to help the child's grades improve by leaps and bounds. How could he not be happy? Therefore, when it was over, he personally sent Xiao Xiao out of the neighborhood. He didn't expect that this would give Huagang an opportunity. 3 days passed quickly. On the 3rd day, the contestants were not so free. In order to coordinate with the promotion of the finals, everyone went to record a VCR. Xiao Xiao did not encounter any other dangers, so he went straight to the day of the finals. Today's finals could be said to be the center of attention. Weibo was already very popular because of the previous 2 competitions, and today's event was even more spectacular. The number of people watching the live broadcast online was nearly 10 times more than before. This made the organizing committee of the Information Science Olympiad very happy. The more people there were watching the competition, the higher the popularity of the competition. This would attract more talents to join the study of information science. They felt that Xiao Xiao, who had attracted the most attention, was a very good spokesperson. Xiao Xiao was young, had strong professional abilities, and was also handsome. The power of a celebrity role model was boundless, and it would affect the perception of the younger generation. The organizing committee was very optimistic about Xiao Xiao. They were waiting for him to win today's finals and invite him to be the spokesperson of the Information Science Olympiad. The comments on the internet were even more one-sided. Everyone was looking forward to Xiao Xiao's dazzling performance today. Soon, the top 10 contestants were seated on the stage. The organizing committee had thought of all kinds of gimmicks for the finals. Everyone had a throne, which was distributed in every corner of the arena. Everyone's equipment was even more high-end. Not only did they have computers, but they also had a full set of application equipment. There was nothing that they couldn't provide. Welcome everyone to the finals of the Information Science Olympiad. The host's voice sounded. The pinnacle of the competition is about to begin. Let us wait and see who will be the champion today. First, let us take a look at the top 10 contestants in the country. Then, a VCR of each contestant was played on the screen. As the VCR played, the contestants sitting on the throne descended from the sky and landed directly on their seats. The most eye-catching one was still Xiao Xiao. In the VCR, the young man was wearing a moon-white hoodie. He was walking over from afar, exuding an intoxicating aura. His facial features were as clear as a sculpture, and his angular face was unusually handsome. His appearance seemed to be unrestrained and abnormally lazy. However, it was this careless laziness that made him even more attractive. That pair of devilish eyes stared at you seriously from afar. When they blinked, they would be filled with passion. It was easy to fall into them if you weren't careful. After walking over from afar, Xiao Xiao stood still nearby. He put his right index finger to his lips and made a shushing gesture. Then, he moved his finger and pointed into the distance. His red lips, which were moderately thick, were overflowing with a dazzling smile. The curve of his mouth was just right. It was cold yet gentle, elegant yet noble. You only know how to act cool, Yenran muttered when she saw the video. However, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up. Today was Xiao Zhao's final match. She was already at Nanchuan's house. She had turned on the live broadcast in her room early in the morning. After all the VCRs were played, the top 10 contestants in the country also landed in front of their respective competition tables. This was originally a very serious competition. However, it was turned into a very entertaining competition by the organizing committee. It was very eye-catching. At this moment, Xiao Xiao was ranked first due to his excellent performance in the previous 2 rounds. There were even netizens who announced that Xiao Xiao would definitely be first without any doubt. The competition began. The topic of this round's finals was Application Optimization Challenge. Given the application competition topic, carry out parallel application optimization. The difficulty of this round was obviously higher than the mechanical arm in the semifinals. It was not on the same level. This time, they were given a car's autopilot program. It was hyped up by the most popular concept at the moment, driverless driving. The topic set up 4 scenarios, including movable obstacles, unpredictable roads, adjusting the route at any time, and sudden attacks. Everyone was given a toy car. At the same time, a huge maze racetrack was raised. The organizing committee had put in a lot of effort into the design of the props. The entire maze racetrack took up about half of the venue. All the contestants sat around the circular track. All the audience was shocked by the maze props. The complexity of the roads inside was unimaginable. There was a number marked on each road. In other words, the toy car had to follow the number. It was not allowed to jump. However, it could be repeated. It was required to complete every road. In order to reduce the difficulty, the topic had indicated which roads would suddenly have obstacles and attacks. The rules of the finals were 10 people PK. The shortest time and the longest distance were judged. There was no requirement to complete the whole journey. Naming is difficult. F*CK, this has completely overturned my imagination. This is too difficult. Sweetie, let's not talk about cars. I can't even walk through it. I want to ask if ants can crawl through it. Compass to the north. Who designed this? There's even a cliff. Does a car drive down from the cliff or just fall off the cliff? God lives in my house. The roads are already very complicated. Why would stones fall from the sky? I feel sorry for the 10 contestants. Checkered shirt. This is an impossible task. Message in a bottle. Fortunately, the organizing committee did not require the contestants to complete the whole journey. Otherwise, they would have been wiped out. The difficulty of the topic was obvious. The host had specially invited professional judges to comment on it. The topic this time is a little difficult. We have designed a total of 3 sections. The first section is flat roads and there are traps on the ground. Some of the traps can be seen with the naked eye. Some of the traps appear suddenly. The second section is a track. You can't derail. There are more types of tracks. On this track, obstacles will suddenly fall from the sky. The third section is a series of lightning curves. This is mainly to deal with the mountain roads. In order to reduce the difficulty, we have marked the roads that require special attention. We don't expect the contestants to complete the whole journey. However, we do expect the contestants to complete the whole journey. The competition officially began. The time limit was still 3 hours. Chow Xiao and the others had a car simulation and a track simulation on their computers. The real track was placed there for the final test. Therefore, the contestants could do debugging while they were programming. Every contestant was fully focused. Their brain cells were mobilized to the maximum. Their eyes were glued to the screen. Their fingers were blindly typing on the keyboard. These were the top 10 contestants in the country. Everyone's professional ability had been tested in the previous rounds. They stood out among the tens of thousands of applicants. This competition was their most glorious display. The netizens in front of the internet gradually quieted down. They watched the contestants' full attention. The experts could see the code they wrote in real time. However, the outsiders were just watching for fun. There were already experts on the internet who had started to broadcast the meaning of the code they wrote in real time. Currently, everyone was in the first section. The first section was relatively smooth. The programming was not difficult. However, there were some traps on the ground. They had to consider how to deal with them. There was a pit that was relatively large. It needed to take up the turning lane. This was the most difficult section of the first section. Not only did they have to test their speed, but they also had to consider how to deal with it. Of course, there were traffic lights and some small curves in the middle of the journey. However, the first section should not be a problem for some experienced programmers. After about half an hour of commentary on the internet, everyone could see that each contestant's progress was different. A few contestants quickly finished the first section and were already thinking about the second section. Xiao Zhao's speed was even more exaggerated. The commentator could not keep up with his speed at all. He had already given up and started to explain the overall situation. Xiao Xiao had already built an identical model of the maze in his mind. The tadpoles imitated themselves as racing cars and raced around in it. With their own experience, they could better understand the meaning of the question maker. When they wrote the program, they would be more thorough. A few tadpoles acted as obstacles that fell from the sky. They were not playing with ordinary stones. They were playing with a storm of stones falling from the sky. Anyway, they had the most tadpoles. Moreover, they did not only set obstacles at the designated sections. These tadpoles were very playful. They could go wherever they wanted. With this style, Xiao Zhao's programming was naturally more flexible. He quickly took the lead. Chapter 56. The little tadpole who had been locked up in the foggy room was the big boss of the tadpoles. He raised the most critical question. Even if the simulation was completed in the program, did they think that it would succeed in reality? All the tadpoles were stunned. They had been playing happily when a few of them fell from the sky. The big boss was very satisfied with the effect he had caused. He stood at the highest point of the simulation track and shouted at all the tadpoles, "You forgot the parameters of the toy car itself." All the tadpoles understood immediately. They lowered their heads and condemned their ignorance in their hearts. Thus, a new wave of data calculations began. The big boss was right. The weight of the toy car itself and its carrying capacity, as well as the friction and resistance caused by the road and wind when it ran, were all key factors. The simulation in the computer was completely different from reality. The big boss continued, "This is the biggest trap the committee has dug for us." Chow Chow looked at the tadpoles brainstorming in their minds. He was also enlightened. He deleted his original program and started to write a new one. The netizens saw that Chow Chow had deleted all the hundreds of programs that he had written. Chow Chow had a very obvious lead at first, but now he had to start all over again. Even the experts had to turn back and think about Chow Zhao's program. However, they could not see anything. Chow Zhao's program for the first round was very good. There were no mistakes. Why did he delete it? Of course, Chow Chow could not answer them during the competition. The experienced experts could only scratch their ears and continue to watch. Huagang had finished the first round's code. He ran it repeatedly. There were no problems at all. He started to move on to the second round. The difficulty of the test was really difficult for him. He looked up at Chow Zhao's interface and was stunned. Why was it blank? He looked at the others. They had more or less written a part of the program. A few of them were similar to him. Could it be that he had run out of ideas, or had he really cheated before? He had already arranged a big show for today. He was just waiting for it to ferment, spread, and explode on the internet. Huagang began to focus on writing his program. If Chow Chow was not around, then he would definitely get first place. Racing was a game that he usually liked to play. He had some experience in this area and knew more about it than the previous mechanical arm. Therefore, when he saw the exam question, his heart leaped with joy. This was simply a big pie that fell from the sky and smashed directly onto his head. He wanted to show this result to Yen Ran and let her see his excellence. Time ticked by, and Chow Chow began to get back on track. He started when the others had already made up the first paragraph. But as always, he would not disappoint them. It was as if he had been possessed by a program. He didn't need to think at all. He was like a robot that kept flying across the keyboard. Line after line of code appeared on the screen, but he still did not need to do any debugging. Continuing his usual style, the audience was already used to it. Soon, he finished the first paragraph. Then, he started to write the second paragraph furiously. When he finished the second paragraph, the others were not even a third of the way through the second paragraph. The commentator on Weibo originally thought that he could finally catch up with Chow Zhao's speed, but he gave up in less than 2 minutes. In the midst of this intense competition, several marketing accounts suddenly appeared on the internet and released a video. #conspiracy. The biggest conspiracy of the Information Science Olympiad #. Originally, the live stream was the first to be promoted by the major websites. But who would have thought that the conspiracy of the Information Science Olympiad would come crashing down like a deep water bomb? The netizens had no choice but to click on it to take a look. A video was posted on the forum. The beginning and end of the video were the scenes of Chow Chow entering and exiting a residential area. The middle part of the video was some insider trading information. They were the naked bird and the mechanical arms program. The entire video was about the unspeakable story between Chow Chow and a certain judge. This video, which was a mixture of truth and falsehood, made people feel confused. The video questioned 3 questions. Is there a human with such a hand speed? Which programmer didn't need to debug their code when they were coding? Does it mean that the Information Science Olympiad can be advanced by just memorizing code in the future? The 3 questions directly hit the official website of the Olympiad Committee. The entire internet was in an uproar. Some believed it, some did not. But the real interaction between Xiao Xiao and the judge was indeed recorded. Xiao Xiao, who was at the scene, did not know anything. He was still working hard on his program. But at this time, the audience outside the venue started to have doubts. The seed of worship that was planted in their hearts was a big question mark. So, the program was backed up? Did he already know about the questions, so he did this? Very quickly, people started to post under the official website, questioning the authenticity of the video. If it was real, they asked for a fair response and a clear sky for the Information Science Olympiad. Yenran also saw the video immediately. She sneered, "Internet haters are really scary." But this time, she did not do anything. She felt that the committee would not be so easily attacked. Also, Professor Wang was a leading figure in the IT world. How could he do something like this? But there was something else in the video. Xiao Zhao's past results were somehow exposed. From middle school all the way to high school, his grades in middle school were only average. But in high school, his first exam results were always at the bottom of the school. He was able to enter Nanchuan High School mainly because his family donated a library. The hatred of the rich ignited the entire internet. It was like a prairie fire that burned everyone's nerves. So, he was a bad student. Just because his family was rich, he could buy out the entire Information Science Olympiad? This was an insult to the entire Information Science Olympiad. It was also a challenge to the country. The internet was full of scolding. The committee panicked. They immediately went to Nanchuan to investigate Xiao Zhao's background and found that everything was true. However, the school also said that although Xiao Zhao's grades were not good, he was making rapid progress in school. Nanchuan High School did not regret recruiting Xiao Xiao. The school had special admission slots every year, and Xiao Xiao had indeed been specially recruited. Professor He knew about Xiao Xiao. He did not think much of the information online. A prodigal son was more valuable than gold. He knew very well whether Xiao Xiao was the real deal. The competition was still in progress, and nothing could interrupt it. Soon, 3 hours passed and the competition ended. Professor Wang was still sitting upright at the judge's table. Someone from the committee came to ask him to go backstage. He was shocked when he saw the 2 videos of Xiao Xiao. He threw his tablet at the person from the committee and asked angrily, "How can you believe this kind of fake news? I only met Xiao Xiao a few days ago. Why would I help him cheat? Use your brains, and you'll know. Do I look like someone who could know the questions beforehand?" The person from the committee immediately smiled apologetically. "Professor Wang, it's not that we don't believe you, but this incident is all over the internet. We must think of a way to resolve it. If you doubt me as a judge because of this, I will voluntarily resign." "Professor Wang, that's definitely not what we mean. We invited you here to see how we can resolve this crisis. As you know, the power of the internet is very strong these days. If PR is not handled properly, it could cause a bigger crisis and affect the credibility of our competition." "That's easy to handle. Just come up with another question and ask him to solve it. If he can solve it, then it's not cheating. If he can't, then he will be disqualified. However, I trust him. If you don't believe me, you can look at the results of the finals." The committee thought about it and agreed that it was true. They would look at the results of the finals first. Soon, the 3 hours were up and everyone was forced to stop. Xiao Xiao was the only one who had finished a long time ago. He closed his eyes to rest in his seat. The little tadpole in his brain spent a lot of energy to design this maze-like track. He was a little tired. The host announced the contestants' exit and the judges went up to give their scores. The first test was the first contestant's toy car. After connecting to the program, the toy car entered the first track. At first, it drove very smoothly. At the big pit, the toy car went around it from the driveway, showing a small curve, which made the audience secretly give a thumbs up. Then, it entered the second track. The situation became more complicated. There were all kinds of tracks. There was a cliff on this track. When the toy car reached the cliff, it fell directly from the cliff. The game ended there. Game over. The second, third, and fourth contestants also stopped here. It seemed that this cliff was a very important competition point. The order of the test was based on the previous rankings. At this time, contestants 7 to 10 had finished their test. The live audience and the online audience were all sweating. The cliff was indeed very difficult, but was it really impossible for anyone to pass? Next, it was the turn of the sixth contestant, Huagang. Soon, his toy car also reached the cliff. Huagang had studied how to drive on this track. When his car reached the edge of the cliff, it dived down in a straight line. However, his rear wheels were on the track and the front wheels were off. Because of this, the car maintained a certain degree of balance. When it landed, the front wheels touched the ground first, then the rear wheels followed, and the transition was smooth. There was a burst of cheers on the internet. Finally, a contestant passed this competition point. It was really not easy. Huagang's image in the audience's mind was instantly raised. Then, the toy car shuttled back and forth between the tracks. Finally, it reached the track indicated on the screen that there would be falling objects here. 3 stones fell from the sky at a very fast speed. Huagang's car had already alerted the police. The red light flashed, which meant that the radar had detected the intrusion of a foreign object. The toy car quickly turned the steering wheel as if it had eyes. It made a left turn, a right turn, and an emergency brake. It perfectly avoided the 3 falling stones. When the stones fell, the audience had already held their breaths. It was as if the stones were going to hit their heads. Some of the girls had already shrunk their necks in fear. When they saw the perfect performance of the toy car, it was as if they had just escaped death. They were all excited and let out a sigh of relief. Chapter 57. It was the first time that someone had passed the second track perfectly. Huagang's heart was in his throat, but when he saw his car enter the third track, he finally smiled. Only a handful of people could enter the third track. Victory was already in his hands. The third track was even more difficult. After a few drifts and falling stones, Huagang finally stopped halfway through the third track. The audience burst into cheers. They were very satisfied with this result. It had already exceeded their expectations. The internet also raised Huagang to the level of a guru. Huagang was scrolling through Weibo with his phone. When he saw that the news about Xiao Xiao had spread quickly, he pursed his lips and put away his phone with satisfaction. This was the most comfortable moment he had ever felt since he met Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao had also seen the video of himself on Weibo. He did not expect that someone would secretly take a video of him. Furthermore, the person was so imaginative that he and Professor Wang were involved in cheating. He sneered. How could they make up such fake news? What a clown. However, he soon realized that his results in school were being used as a topic. He touched his nose and suddenly felt embarrassed. Most importantly, he was worried that Yen Ran would be unhappy if she saw it. Sigh. He had been a bad student. This was a fact that could not be changed. He even dragged Uncle Wu into this. I'm sorry, Uncle Wu, for making you an internet celebrity. After Huagang's test, the 5th to 2nd place were also very good. 2 of them had reached the 3rd track, but they were not as far as Huagang. Huagang was in 1st place. Finally, it was Xiao Zhao's turn. Huagang looked at Xiao Xiao and realized that he was not nervous at all. He was still sitting lazily on the sofa, as if he did not care about his results at all. Actually, Xiao Xiao was concerned about whether Yen Ran had seen the video online. Xiao Zhao's test began. There was no suspense in the first track. He flew through it at an extremely fast speed. When he reached the cliff of the second track, he did not do what Huagang did. Instead, he bounced from the top to the bottom. Then, he reversed the car and slid down the cliff. Immortal lives in my house. F*CK, there's such a thing. He deliberately reversed the car so that he did not break the rules. Stay up until dawn. isn't your focus a bit off? Why didn't any of you care about how the car slid down the cliff? Mu Xianfeng. He bounced off the cliff. How did he not flip the car? Shocked to the end. Racing cars can be driven so steadily? This is challenging the limits of the car's limits. Indeed, Qiao Xiao had combined the performance, weight, and characteristics of the car itself, and launched it down the cliff like a missile. There was not the slightest inclination, so it could land smoothly. In order to comply with the rules of the competition, he rewound a little further. This was also a reminder from the tadpole boss in his head. Then, Qiao Xiao successfully avoided the obstacles in front of the audience. His toy car simply ignored the obstacles as it sped along at lightning speed. At this moment, the teacher who came up with the questions started to regret. Why was the falling stone so slow? In the eyes of Hua Gang and the other contestants, the falling stone was already quite fast. But to Qiao Xiao, this speed was not even worth mentioning. Compared to his speed, the car was already out of sight in mid-air. The audience's mouths never closed. They had previously treated Hua Gang as a god, but now, Qiao Xiao had become a god in their eyes. What kind of godlike maneuvering was this? The toy car was basically flying on the track. Nothing could stop it from moving forward. Drifting in the third stage was like playing on a slide in his eyes. With just a few casual movements, he was able to cross all the bends in the third stage. A beautiful sprint crossed the finish line of the track. The entire internet was boiling. This was the first contestant to complete the entire track, and also the only one. Qiao Xiao's previous scandals were instantly suppressed. Qiao Xiao used his own ability to prove that the scandals were false. Waiting to become Buddha. Was this really made up by Qiao Xiao himself? There isn't a ready-made program for this, right? Plaid shirt. Didn't the internet say that he was a bad student? How can he be so good in this aspect? Senior Ape. I'm kneeling down to this god. Huagang looked at this godly reversal and felt extremely sullen. He did not expect Qiao Xiao to be so good. All the tests were over. At this moment, Professor Wang stood up and said, "There is a video on the internet saying that I leaked the questions to Qiao Xiao. I hereby solemnly declare that as a judge, I did not know the questions beforehand. I could not have leaked the questions. Secondly, when I met Qiao Xiao that day, I also asked him to help me fix my robot program. Thirdly, in order to deal with the haters on the internet, I suggest that the first and second contestants compete again. They can set the questions on the spot, and there is no way to cheat. This will prove Qiao Xiao's ability. Fourthly, why did Qiao Xiao change from a bad student to a top student? I can't explain this. In the future, we will have to wait for Qiao Xiao to explain it himself. However, I know that it is possible for a person to suddenly become enlightened. A prodigal son turning over a new leaf is more precious than gold. I hope that everyone can give Qiao Xiao more encouragement." Professor Wang stood up to refute the rumors. It was obvious that he supported Qiao Xiao. The netizens were already shocked by Qiao Xiao's ability. After this heavyweight in the IT industry refuted the rumors, 70% to 80% of them believed it. At this time, the host said, "In order to prove that this competition is fair and open, we will take Professor Wang's suggestion and have another round of overtime. This competition has a time limit of 1 hour. The contestants are first place Qiao Xiao and second place Hua Gang. The topic of the overtime is how to save a toy car. The specific content has been entered into the two contestants' computers. Please complete the task within the allotted time." This topic was a bit tricky. The toy car going through a maze was already complicated enough. Now, there was an additional scenario: how to save a toy car in an extreme situation. The extreme situation was a fire scene and the toy car sinking into the water. Huagang had never written such a program before. He believed that no one had written such a program before. If there was, then the car would not always explode in a fire or sink into the water. This was a completely new research project. How could it be used as an overtime topic? The organizing committee was obviously trying to make things difficult for him and Qiao Xiao. The organizing committee felt that if the topic was simple, it would not be enough to convince the public. Even though this was a scientific research problem, it had not been solved yet. However, if the two contestants could come up with some preliminary ideas, it would be a great improvement. Only this kind of application that had never had an answer before could reflect the fairness of the program. The netizens were all stunned. There was such a thing. The layman did not think much of it, but the insiders silently lit a candle for the two contestants in their hearts. God lives in my house. If the two of them can't come up with a solution, what will happen? Won't they be unable to prove anything? Senior Ape, if Chow Chow wants to prove his innocence in this round, he must come up with real skills. Plaid Shirt, this problem that has troubled everyone for hundreds of years has not been solved. You want him to solve it in an hour to prove his innocence? This is a bit deliberately making things difficult. The laymen were very excited. The scene must be very interesting. There was fire and water. Yenran saw the comments online and knew that someone must be behind this. Who could it be? Who would be so jealous of Chow Chow? Yenran made a phone call. I want all the personal information of the top 10 contestants in the Information Science Olympiad. Soon, Chow Chow and Hua Gang sat in their seats. Chow Chow still looked calm and lazy, but Hua Gang looked like he was facing a great enemy. The maze had been removed and replaced with 2 other sealed scenes. One of the sealed boxes was made to look like a tunnel. The tunnel was very long. The toy car was about to drive through the tunnel, and the tunnel was on fire. The other box was filled with water. Chow Chow did not find it difficult. The most important thing for the toy car to enter the fire was to isolate it. The car could not explode because of the fire. The key was to not let the fuel tank catch fire. If there was a fire near the fuel tank, it would explode. If the car itself burned, the fuel tank would not explode. The explosion required a sealed space. The tunnel was a simulation of this sealed space, and the tunnel was very long. The tadpoles in Chow Zhao's mind had automatically formed a tunnel, and one of the tadpoles was pretending to be the toy car and was rushing inside. Chow Chow did not know how they did it. He felt a buzzing in his head, as if there was a fire burning inside, and his head hurt. Then, he saw the tadpole rush into the tunnel, but unfortunately, it did not rush out. Instead, it shouted in the tunnel, "I'm burning, I'm going to explode." In the end, I saw the tadpole walk out of the tunnel horizontally. He lay on the ground and said to the other tadpoles, "I know where the problem is. You didn't make a fire protection film for me, and you didn't make a water spray or a cooling device. I'm dying of heat inside." Chow Chow was charmed by this cute little tadpole and laughed out loud. He knew that he had an idea, and he would be able to complete it soon. Hua Gang heard Chow Zhao's laughter and raised his head to look at him. Hua Gang gritted his teeth and said, "You're lucky this time. I'll make sure you can't laugh anymore." The second device in the water, Chow Chow thought, was much simpler than the one in the fire. There had been a technological breakthrough in the past, and the amphibious car had been tested. The car fell into the water and was isolated. The propeller could be made into a device similar to a submarine, and it could slowly float to the surface to save itself. With a clear idea, Chow Chow started to do it. Hua Gang had no idea how to save himself in the fire, but he had some ideas about how to save himself in the water. The two of them had already started typing on the keyboard with their hands flying over the keyboard. Both of them were wearing headphones, so they could not hear the discussion around them. But at the scene, the tension had reached its peak. An hour passed quickly. The answer was about to be revealed as everyone waited anxiously. Chapter 58. This time, the toy car needed to be modified. The organizing committee also provided some parts and equipment. Chow Chow and Hua Gang also spent some time modifying their cars. The host announced, "Time's up." The two contestants stopped typing on their keyboards. This time, Chow Chow didn't finish it ahead of time because the program was too complicated. 1 hour wasn't enough. However, he finished most of it. He only lacked a design to drain the water after it floated to the surface. No matter what, he was confident in his program. He should be able to save himself. Now, there should be a bulging belly at the back of his toy car. It should be filled with water. The final test started with Hua Gang, who was ranked at the bottom. Hua Gang's train of thought was not very clear when he went through the tunnel. However, he also knew that the fuel tank couldn't catch fire, so he added a fireproof material around the fuel tank. He made up his mind to go through the tunnel as fast as possible to avoid close contact with the fire. After the program was connected, Hua Gang's toy car drove into the tunnel at an extremely fast speed. The audience only saw the car disappear in the blink of an eye. Immortals live in my house. This is using speed to stop the fire. This is impossible in reality. Mu Xianfeng, if he saw a fire in front of him in reality, he would be an idiot to drive in. Stay up till morning. It's good enough that he can escape. Why do you care about speed? Plaid shirt. Let's see if he can escape first. After Hua Gang's car entered the tunnel, the big screen began to show the situation inside the tunnel. As everyone expected, the car went through the tunnel at an extremely fast speed. Soon, it was submerged in the sea of fire. At this time, two judges shook their heads and said regretfully, "The faster you go, the easier it is to catch fire." Sure enough, as soon as they finished speaking, the tires couldn't withstand the high temperature and began to burst. The friction between the tires and the ground caused sparks. In an instant, the tires exploded. The power of the explosion filled the entire tunnel. It was a little scary, and many small pieces of fire were ejected. The entire car could no longer be controlled. Without the support of the tires, the toy car veered off course and crashed into both sides of the tunnel. No matter how hard they tried to cover the fuel tank, it was useless. There was a loud explosion in the tunnel. The audience watching the live broadcast was shocked. Looking at the flames on the screen and hearing the thumping sounds in their ears, they felt as if they were in the same place. If someone was sitting in the car at this moment, it could only be described as tragic. They had failed the first round, and the host was also shocked by the explosion. He announced that they would clean up the scene and take a short break. Then, they began to test Hua Gang's underwater escape. After the explosion just now, Hua Gang still had lingering fears. However, he believed that he could still fight for his life underwater. His toy car slowly drove from the road into the water and slowly sank. At this moment, several propellers rose from the bottom of the car and began to rotate rapidly. The entire car slowly floated to the surface of the water. Hua Gang relaxed when he saw that he had succeeded. When the onlookers saw that the car had finally floated to the surface of the water, they clapped happily. At this moment, a judge asked, "Other than installing the propellers, did you do anything else?" Hua Gang replied, "No." After hearing the answer, the judge shook his head regretfully. Next was Qiao Zhao's demonstration. In the first round, Qiao Zhao's toy car drove into the tunnel at a constant speed. The big screen changed to the scene inside the tunnel. The toy car's radar detected a fire 10 meters in front of it, and it quickly raised a circle of fire isolation panels around the entire car. At the same time, there was a circle of faucets outside the panels, and water began to flow out. When the audience saw this, they wondered, "Is this a fire hose?" This circle of faucets was very useful. Not only did it flow out, but it also kept spraying water on the car's tires and body. This way, it could prevent the tires from catching fire because they couldn't withstand the high temperature. Wonderful! The judges were overwhelmed with emotions. How come no one had thought of this before? At this moment, the fire gradually grew bigger. The water in the car's water tank could no longer withstand the power of the flames. Because of the continuous use, the water in the water tank quickly dried up. And at this moment, the toy car reported the tire temperature. Under the controlled temperature, the toy car quickly chose to speed up and rushed out of the tunnel at the fastest speed. There was no explosion, only safety. The exciting result burned everyone's rationality. Even the judges stood up and applauded Qiao Zhao. At this moment, the host jumped out and said, "Everyone, please restrain your excitement. Let's finish the test of the whole game." Then it was the test of escape in the water. Everyone held their breath and watched the toy car slowly go into the water. After detecting that the water had covered the tires, the car's windows were automatically rolled up. The whole car was sealed, and oxygen was automatically released inside the car. Then, when the trunk of the car first sank to the bottom of the water, the propeller installed next to the rear wheel began to move. First, the whole car was balanced. The voice in the car had been broadcasting the oxygen content in the car and the pressure inside and outside the car. When the car was balanced, the front wheel also sank into the water. The car broadcast, close the inlet, close the entire base, turn on the front wheel propeller. With this broadcast, everyone could clearly see every movement inside and outside the car. This was a simple submarine. The whole car was wrapped so that not even a drop of water could flow in. At the same time, there was an oxygen supply device. With the propeller operating, the toy car slowly rose. But at this time, there was a bulge at the back of the car. This was the drainage device that Xiao Xiao had not had time to design. Xiao Xiao touched his nose embarrassedly. This was the part that he had not finished. There should be an automatic drainage function after the toy car came out of the water. Because of the time, he could not make it perfect. The little tadpoles in his brain also covered their faces in shame. Compared to Xiao Xiao's pursuit of perfection, the others already felt that it was very perfect. The judge's emotions could no longer be described as surging. This was simply like a bright light shining in front of them. The topic of vehicle self-rescue had been studied for many years. They did not expect that today's competition would have such a big harvest. The younger generation would surpass the older generation. Stay up until morning. Guru. The guru of the IT industry is born. Mu Xianfeng. I actually witnessed this historical moment. Senior Ape. This is incredible. Is this a human brain? Immortal lives in my house. Guru, please accept my kneeling. Plaid shirt. Is the guru from outer space? My IQ has been refreshed. There was no suspense. Xiao Zhao's ability was obvious to everyone. As for whether he was a straight-A student or a genius, it did not seem to be important. There were too many such examples. Geniuses who dropped out of school were everywhere. It was also possible that Xiao Xiao was biased in his subject. Anyway, this time, the negative news could no longer stand. Many netizens even began to complain about it. These marketing accounts were scared. They did not want to cause public anger, so they quickly deleted and left. However, Yanran would not let this matter go so easily. She already had the information of the 10 people in her hands. She had also asked people to investigate several marketing accounts on the internet. Now, she just needed to follow the clues to find the culprit. In the end, Xiao Xiao went on stage and picked up the Olympiad trophy. He took a funny selfie, holding the trophy and pouting. Then, he sent a flying kiss to Yanran's cheek through the phone screen. The next day, Xiao Xiao had a good night's sleep. His body was full of spiritual power again. Yesterday's competition had consumed a lot of his brain cells. He found that the little tadpoles had a self-awakening function. Some of the little tadpoles that had entered old age were automatically eliminated, and some would give birth to new tadpoles. The metabolism cycle was endless in Xiao Zhao's mind. Ever since he practiced the first spiritual art, he found that the demonic energy in his body had been greatly controlled. It seemed that there was a reason for all this. If he practiced it well, he would not have to be a brute in the demonic world. The more Xiao Xiao looked at the human world, the more pleasing it was to the eye. It was simply his heaven, except that there were often people who were jealous of him. He was not surprised that people were slandering him on the internet. After all, people would only slander him when he was popular. However, he still called Officer Zhang to discuss it with him. Officer Zhang attached great importance to it. He pulled up the video of the hotel entrance and finally found a clue. The person who followed Xiao Xiao out that day was Hua Gang. The route of Hua Gang's taxi was also pulled up. Just like Xiao Zhao's, the taxi stopped at the entrance of the neighborhood. From this, it could be seen that Hua Gang was a great suspect. Qiao Xiao was a little hesitant to deal with the suspicion of Huagang. After all, Yanran had promised him that there was no problem with Huagang. Was he entrusted by Yanran to protect him that day? Or was he trying to frame him? Officer Zhang immediately took action. He summoned Huagang before he was about to leave Xining City. However, Huagang flatly denied the video. Instead, he admitted that he was entrusted by someone to protect Qiao Xiao. Officer Zhang also checked Huagang's mobile phone and the laptop that he carried with him. He did not find anything unusual. Huagang's psychological quality was very good. He was very familiar with the way the police handled cases. After the incident failed, he had already cleaned up. Only a very professional expert could restore it, and he himself was an expert. Therefore, it was normal that Officer Zhang did not find anything from him. However, Officer Zhang said to Qiao Xiao, "This person is either a very good person who was entrusted by someone to do his duty and think of you in every way. Otherwise, he is a criminal with extremely strong anti-reconnaissance ability." Qiao Xiao thought about Yanran's words and said to Officer Zhang, "He is a friend of a good friend of mine. I believe him." However, Qiao Xiao still sent a message to Yanran. After all, he was Yanran's friend. Yanran looked at the marketing information that she had just received. It was hired by someone with the online name Gun King. The commission was generous. The video was also provided by Gun King. However, there were no clues left behind. Even the commission was transferred from a bank account that had changed hands many times. Without conclusive evidence, Qiao Zhao's attack case had reached a dead end. Everything was in a blur. Qiao Zhao's attractive body was always in trouble. Yanran put away the materials in her hand and frowned. She knew that more trouble was coming. Chapter 59. After the competition, the summer vacation was about to come to an end. Qiao Xiao returned to Nanchuan. The principal even came to visit him and congratulated him on winning the Information Science Olympiad. He hoped that he would continue to work hard and win glory for the school. "Qiao Xiao, it's your turn to speak under the national flag on the first week of school." Before the principal left, he smiled and patted Qiao Zhao's shoulder. After this competition, Qiao Xiao still found that his knowledge was insufficient. For example, the principles of cars and robots. Although he had already written the program, his technical knowledge was obviously not solid enough. Now, his desire for knowledge was like a human's desire for air. He still spent all day in the bookstore, but he was no longer limited to textbooks. He started from the first floor of the bookstore and read all kinds of knowledge. As long as it was available in the bookstore, he would directly store it in his mind. When he read a fantasy novel from the Devil Realm, he commented that it was too exaggerated. Even a prince of the Devil Realm like him wasn't that powerful. When he read medical books, he was very interested in Chinese medicine. This was somewhat similar to his cultivation. The extension of various meridians and the operation of the human body's meridians allowed him to open his inner vision. He was like a SpongeBob SquarePants as he absorbed all the nutrients in the books into his mind. Only then did he realize that he was like a frog at the bottom of a well. The world was so big, but he only saw the game above his head. The little tadpoles in his mind were the happiest. They categorized all kinds of knowledge and stored it in different places. His mind was like a memory palace. When he opened a box, he would find a book. During the summer vacation, he played with his classmates a few more times. School was about to start. Qiao Xiao asked Yanran out a few times, but she was not free. Finally, after Qiao Xiao acted cute 100 times, Yanran finally agreed. Qiao Xiao still booked the revolving restaurant on the top floor of the 5-star hotel. In his eyes, this was the most romantic place in Nanchuan. This time, he wanted to look at the starry sky with Yanran and enjoy the night view together. Before he went out, he dressed up meticulously and reviewed the 100 ways to woo girls that he had read in the bookstore. He ordered 99 roses and held them in his hands, which attracted a lot of attention. He went to the designated seat and placed the rose in the middle of the table. Looking at the time, there were still 20 minutes left. Then, she picked up the napkin on Yenron's table and began to fold the small animals. When Xiao Xiao looked at the door for the 10th time, he finally saw Yenron's figure. He happily ran over to welcome her, but suddenly found that behind Yenran, there was a familiar figure, Huagang. Xiao Xiao's smile instantly froze. "Hi, Xiao Xiao. Am I not welcome?" Huagang greeted him with a smile. "Of course not." Xiao Xiao gritted his teeth and said in his heart, "Just now, I happened to go to Yenron's house as a guest. I heard that Yenran was coming out for dinner, so I licked my face and followed. You don't not welcome me, right? This meal is on me," Huagang continued to say with a smile. Xiao Xiao couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't do anything about it. He could only welcome the two of them in. In a place where Huagang couldn't see, he glanced at Yenran with hidden bitterness. Yenran was also very innocent. She finally had some time, but she didn't expect that Huagang would come to her house. Then, like a dog's skin plaster, she couldn't get rid of him. Didn't he follow her here? Huagang saw the 99 roses on the table, and his face changed. He then joked, "These flowers are so beautiful. Are they a gift from the hotel?" Xiao Xiao couldn't use the scene of him giving the flowers. He was depressed and could only say dryly, "These flowers are for Yenran. I want to thank her for helping me last time." Yenran looked at the little black bun on Xiao Xiao's head. At this time, his head was drooping and he looked listless. It was as if the light of the world was leaving him. Yenran couldn't help but laugh. Looking at the red roses on the table, she knew that Xiao Xiao had carefully chosen them for her. This meal was incomparably depressing. Because of Huagang's participation, he was basically the one talking the whole time. Looking at Yenron's eyes, Xiao Xiao's heart was about to overflow with jealousy. He kept talking about the interesting stories of their competition, but Yenran and Xiao Xiao didn't seem to be listening. Originally, Xiao Xiao would take good care of Yenran every time they ate. But this time, when Xiao Xiao put food in Yenron's bowl, he would always bump into Huagang. Several times, the two of them acted in unison. Soon, Yenron's plate was full. "You two don't need to put food in my bowl anymore. I can do it myself." Xiao Xiao and Huagang looked at each other. Sparks flew from their eyes and exploded into their bowls. The two of them acted as if they were angry and began to eat in silence. They only stopped when their stomachs were round and all the food on the table was gone. Then, Huagang threw another bomb. "I'm transferring to your school next semester." Xiao Xiao was drinking water. When he heard this, he spat out a mouthful of water. It all sprayed onto Huagang's hand. "Ah, I'm sorry. Xiao Xiao hurriedly apologized. Huagang's face darkened. He was speechless. He could only say that he was going to the bathroom to clean up. Finally, this eyesore left. Xiao Xiao was extremely resentful. He looked at Yenran with grievance. "Do you know how long I've been looking forward to this dinner? How could you bring another person?" Yenran knew that she was wrong. She lowered her head and looked at the food in her bowl. "It's also a coincidence. When I went out, he insisted on following me. I don't care. You have to compensate me. This meal is equivalent to eating for free." Xiao Xiao pouted. "How are you eating for free? I saw that you ate quite a lot." Yenran couldn't help but roll her eyes. "That's because I don't want to listen to him. I can only eat to offset my appetite. You have to compensate me. Accompany me for a walk tonight." Xiao Xiao continued to act coquettishly. "Huagang will definitely send me back later. Just tell him not to send you back. You still have things to do. Also, why should he send you back? What's his relationship with you?" Xiao Xiao was a little anxious. Just when Xiao Xiao was anxious, Huagang came back. Huagang calmly looked at Xiao Xiao, who didn't have time to hide his expression. He sat down and consciously took a napkin for Yenran. He said to her, "There's a bit of dirt on the corner of your mouth." Yenran took it silently. She didn't say anything else. Chow Chow stared at the napkin as if he wanted to stare a hole through it. The atmosphere of the dinner later became even more awkward. After it was hastily wrapped up, Hua Gang offered to send Yanran home. Chow Chow watched the two of them leave. He held back a mouthful of old blood in his heart. After returning home, Chow Chow sat on the bed and flipped through the TV in boredom. He didn't even bother to look at his phone. Uncle Wu was very curious. "Young master, why did you come back so early today? Didn't you say that you were going to eat with Miss Yanran?" Uncle Wu was very grateful to Yanran now. She turned Xiao Xiao into his ideal prince. He improved in all aspects and almost became a good youth. He really wanted to pack the young master up and send him directly to Yanran. "Young master, is Miss Yanran busy today? Why did she come back so early?" Uncle Wu held a glass of milk and quietly appeared in front of Xiao Xiao's door. She was taken away by a friend of hers. Xiao Xiao didn't notice that his teeth fell out when he said this. "What friend?" Xiao Xiao suddenly reacted. "Uncle Wu, you said that Yanran doesn't treat me as a bad person now. But what about the other cultivators? Will they also want to get rid of me when they see me?" "That's possible. But there are very few cultivators. It's rare to meet them." "How can that be?" "Uncle Wu, I've met a few of them. Today, Yanran's friend is also a cultivator. There's also blue gas coming out of his head. I've seen a few of them before. How can there be so many in the human world? Is it because they are Miss Yanran's friends that they are all cultivators? Then is there any way to hide my black gas? These people are so troublesome. I heard that there's a kind of medicine that can temporarily hide it. But it can't last long. Once you get angry, it will be revealed. It's good to be able to hide it for a while. Uncle Wu, think of a way to get some for me." Xiao Xiao also became somewhat aware of danger. He was attacked several times. Until now, the person who attacked him still hasn't been found. But what made him curious was why Hua Gang suddenly transferred to their school. This person always made him feel a bit of hostility. Just by looking at the way he looked at Yanran, he knew that this guy must have some ulterior motive. He wanted to fight with him for Yanran. The annoying thing was that Yanran still trusted him so much. It really made him feel a bit frustrated. Tonight's good date was ruined just like that. He didn't know when the next time would be. At this time, Xiao Xiao hoped that school could start earlier. That way, at least he could see her every day. Just as he was thinking about random things, Yanran's phone call came. He immediately jumped out of bed. He happily picked up Yanran's phone call and then called out to Yanran with grievance. "What are you doing? I'm wondering why you didn't accompany me for a walk. I went home. I can't come out." "That Hua Gang is your friend? Why do you trust him so much?" "He and I grew up together. Our families are family friends." "Oh, so they're childhood friends." Xiao Xiao could hear the sound of teeth grinding from the phone. "He's a very good person. And he's also a cultivator. He's very capable. Are you going to ask me to get along well with him?" "Yes." Xiao Xiao was speechless. "Have you found out that he has ulterior motives towards you?" Yanran couldn't help but laugh. "When did he have ulterior motives towards me? There's obviously something wrong with the way he looks at you. I don't know what he's thinking." "Don't talk nonsense. He's my good friend and also my subordinate." "Then, do you guys usually hang out together?" Xiao Zhao's heart was extremely sour. "What do you mean hang out together often?" "When we're on a mission, we act together." "In other words, you see him more than you see me, right?" "What nonsense are you thinking about again?" "I'm just calling to explain to you. I'm sorry about tonight." "I don't want your apology. I just want to see you. I miss you, Yanran." Xiao Xiao ignored her and said this with his eyes closed. There was no sound from the other end of the phone for a long time. After a while, there seemed to be a knock on the door. Yanran said lightly, "Someone's coming. I'm hanging up." Before Xiao Xiao could respond, the phone was hung up. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.